Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is a picture of Stephen Jensen with Violence is Forever.
Yes.
And this is the Spotlight on Thursday, January 30th. Shout out, as always, to Big Dick Himmel J for the intro. I assume Jensen's going like this.
I am. Sorry, everyone. I'm off camera today. I got violently ill last night. Super sick all night. I was not going to miss this morning because this is our last morning episode of the Spotlight. We'll be moving starting next week till to 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. But I do not feel comfortable on camera right now because I look like absolute death at the moment. So I appreciate y'all for hopefully y'all can bear with me today, and Jeremy can be the one on camera. But otherwise, I'm happy to be here, even though essentially what happened, for those of you watching, my brother trains a guy named Joe, the Black Italian Stallion, a boxer we've had on the show before. And the two of them went to Nashville for a boxing match over the weekend. Both got sick. I saw my brother the other day. He was starting to feel sick, and I probably caught whatever he caught. So I'm going through it at the moment. But Maggie, I'm sorry that you can't see me right. I'm the John Cena time right now. No one can see me at the moment. I apologize. I cannot be on camera. I was very sick all night, unfortunately. So, but anyway, I'm here ready to talk about some pro wrestling this morning. It's good to see you, Jeremy.
I'd say it's good to see you, but I'd be lying.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see me with VIF, me holding those ECW Tag Team Championships. That was the night that they won the titles at Center Stage. So cool picture.
Guys, leave a super chat, get your question, comment, statement read on air. That supports us, that supports the channel. We appreciate all that. Leave us a thumbs up on the video. That helps us out. Otherwise, I don't know if we got anything else. My energy is very low today. I'm trying. I'm very tired. I did not sleep well last night, but I'm here.
Yeah, we made it. I will say we're going to talk about WWE and the Royal Rumble and everything, but I was live at Raw on Netflix on Monday, and it was an awesome time. So I'm sure we'll talk about that more during the Royal Rumble predictions and everything. But I love Dog says I'm doing the backup Hangman gimmick. That's funny. Yeah, why can't we see Jensen? I just explained to everyone. You know what? Screw it.
Wow, you've been bullied into being on camera now.
Let me see if I can start my camera. Ooh, all right. Screw it. If I pop off camera, y'all know why.
You're dying. You forced Jensen to be on camera as he is dying, everybody.
I'm not bothering tying my hair up. Nothing, dude. I'm hot and cold. I'm switching between hot and cold and hood up, hood down. But I did have a great time watching Raw on Netflix. At Raw on Monday. It was a really good time. Shout out to David. There was a guy who I was sitting next to that was a casual fan that really didn't know anything about pro wrestling, and he was at the show. He was invited to the show, and he was a really nice guy, and he had no idea what was going on. So I was kind of like filling him in, like during the matches and like during the segments and stuff. And him and one of his buddies hit me up the next day, and they were like, "Dude, thank you for, making me a fan." Basically, like I think he's gonna stick as a fan. So it's always fun to like kind of convert like non-wrestling fans into wrestling fans at shows like that. So I had a great time, but outside of that, I don't know what else is really going on. I'm a bit off my game at the moment. I can't really think straight. I don't know if there was anything I was supposed to bring up this morning or not, but yeah, I had a good time on Monday at Raw. Anything going on with you? Anything at all?
No.
Let's just talk about wrestling, man. Let's get into it. And yes, everyone, I got bullied on getting on camera. The peer pressure got to me. So,
who was David's favorite wrestlers?
Everyone. So, I was in like this section of people who essentially got invited to the show, and most of the people there weren't wrestling fans. They were just invited by someone or whatever. And the majority of them popped big for Drew McIntyre. It was noticeable. Like everybody around me was like, "That guy's huge." They were like, why is this guy not the main guy? You know what I mean? Like they were all in on Drew McIntyre from the jump. They really liked Logan Paul. All of them knew who Logan Paul was, you know? So like just goes to show you as far as like the casual wrestling audience, the non-wrestling fans, that's one of the, you know, obviously the big one of the big pluses of having Logan involved in the company, obviously, is like, you know, he's such a recognizable figure. We didn't have this as one of our topics, but I mean, they announced it's going to be Jake versus Logan in a boxing match soon.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Well, they announced something as Paul versus Paul, but I don't know if they've like officially said it was.
They didn't announce shit. They're trolling. It's supposed to be a reality series.
Okay. Well, I didn't know exactly what it was because they never said anything about boxing and like the actual.
Yeah.
But there's footage of them squaring off. So
it's not footage. It's just a poster. Like
no, there's a video of the two of them in each other's faces shoving each other from like yesterday.
Was there?
Yeah. So they're trying to make it look like they're fighting each other.
Yes, that's the point of their trolling, is they're trying to make it look like it is some big fight, but that's not the case at all.
Well, and that's a fight I honestly don't even want to see because, like, for instance, when Jake fought Mike Tyson recently, Jake admitted after the fight, he was like, yeah, I took it easy on him towards the end. Like I felt bad for him. I wasn't like trying to knock him out the last few rounds. And it's like, if that's true, imagine what a fight between him and Logan looks like. His own brother. Like he's not going to try to, like Jake should knock out Logan immediately based on each of their skills. And like, they wouldn't even, it'd be more fixed than pro wrestling, that entire thing. So, but yeah, anyways.
They trolled. The only reason I feel like I'm admonishing you over this is because so many people ran, oh, they're fighting. And my news team was like, did we get this? Did we get them fight? Like they didn't announce a fight. Like knock it off. Stop. So I'm annoyed at how many people said it was a fight and it turns out it's just some reality series. This is the importance of double checking things, folks, when it comes to news, instead of just saying, oh, they're fighting. Look, they just posted 10 years in the making with this poster. They've announced the fight. No. One, they're the Paul brothers. They're never like they're gonna troll. That's what they do. Two, if they announce a fight, they would have had a big press release. They would have made that very clear. The fact that they kept it vague should have been your first sign that it wasn't any type of a fight. It's also like 3 weeks before WrestleMania. I'm not saying Logan couldn't do it, but he's going to be in the Rumble. You would think he's going to be putting a lot into WrestleMania. I wouldn't think he's going to be training to fight his brother 3 weeks before Mania, when who knows what could go wrong, and then he might miss out on WrestleMania. He might, he's the type of person who might do that, but again, this is the importance of double checking all of these things, because just running with, oh, see, they announced the fight, because so many websites did that, and it annoyed me because no one actually knew they announced the fight. Everyone was just, they seemingly announce a fight. Don't run that shit. Don't run seemingly announce a fight. Either you know it or you don't. And clearly they didn't know it. And clearly a lot of people got trolled. Not us, though. Not us.
What threw me off was because there was no fight announcement. That was obviously very sus. Like the fact that there was no actual, like, we're boxing each other, no press conference. But what threw me off was their face off yesterday. I was like, why are they squaring off and shoving each other for not fighting? That was what threw me off. In other boxing news, Creator Class 3 was just announced yesterday as well. So maybe we'll have some people from that show on again. Our buddy Dadbot. My brother actually saw him in Nashville at the fights. Dad was there in the house. He didn't box, but he was there doing like ring boy or whatever you want to call it, in between rounds, like holding up the round signs and stuff for people. But yeah, Rhapsody says, why are you guys up so early.
Isn't
We're
that
always
still?
Yeah, we're always well, we're switching to 6:30 Eastern starting next week, but we've been this early for a while. But I am for all of you who have trickled into the show saying I look rough this morning, and I am super sick. I started the show off camera. I was bullied onto coming on camera, and that's what you're getting this morning. So, Jeremy, without any further ado, you want to jump into some wrestling topics?
I thought we talked about wrestling. Do we have to?
We got the Rumble, man.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
The Royal Rumble is on Saturday in Indianapolis. That's it. That's all I got. It's on Saturday in Indianapolis. Who do you have winning?
So there's a lot of directions they can go with this. And we've kind of fantasy booked WrestleMania in past weeks, trying to kind of plug and play, like who kind of goes where. After Raw on Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if they went the direction of CM Punk versus Cody. I'm not saying that's for sure like the concrete plan, but I mean, they definitely teased it, and it definitely came across really, really well, in my opinion. That was a really fun thing to be at live for on Monday in Atlanta, especially considering my love of Cody Rhodes and my history with CM Punk. That was fun to watch. It's tough, man. Like, so for the Royal Rumble, I feel like the obvious choice for the men and the women are John Cena and Charlotte Flair. But because those are such obvious choices, I don't know if they're going to go that route. Because, so let's just say, like, let's say CM Punk wins the Rumble and they do CM Punk versus Cody. Does that mean they do? I think if that happens, then The Rock is wrestling. He's coming back and wrestling Roman. I think if they're going to do CM Punk and Cody, I think we get Rock and Roman. Because I don't know what else Roman does that's, to the same level at all. Like, you're going to want Roman still like main eventing one of the nights of WrestleMania. And if it's not going to be a title match, then him and The Rock makes a lot of sense. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards is I think CM Punk now maybe wins the Royal Rumble. He takes on Cody. Then we have The Rock and Roman. And then that leaves Cena, whether he wins the Rumble or not. We could do Cena versus Gunther for the world title, or you can do Cena versus Logan Paul maybe, because it's obviously such a big like pop culture match. A lot of people will be interested in that. So the odd man out in that case would be Goldberg, because I kind of feel like Goldberg is going to wrestle Gunther, but we also haven't seen Goldberg since Bad Blood, so like maybe that isn't happening, but they teased it. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. It's like I could see my front runners are John Cena and CM Punk, and it just depends on what route they want to go. Right now, I'm leaning more towards CM Punk to get CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
After the promo on Monday, it definitely seems like Punk and Cody is a direction, maybe the direction. I'm not fully ruling out Roman and Punk. There's a lot of history there, a lot to play off of, a lot you can do. Punk has his favor from Paul Heyman, and even Drew said, "Sell your boy." I said, "Hello." I'm talking about CM Punk. So Drew threw a little seed down there for Punk and Roman as well. I assume Phil is running the Grapsody account.
He's calling for Rollins and Roman. That's probably Phil. I can see. I mean, storyline wise and history wise and everything, like that makes sense to do Rollins and Roman. But I don't know if I have to assume that Roman is main eventing night one. So like, what's the biggest match?
Night one. What?
Yeah, night two is going to be CM Punk and Cody if that match is happening for the WWE Championship. 1,000,000%. I'd put. We won't talk about gambling here on the show, but we can talk off camera if you want to make some wagers on that. Cody's their guy. Can you not get over it? Like, Cody's their guy. Like, It was Roman. Now it's Cody. Cody's going to main event night 2 of WrestleMania as a world champion. He's definitely going to beat Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, you're getting cooked in the chat, brother, and I'm with them.
Cool. Like I said, we'll put something together. I am very confident that Cody will main event night 2 it's the main championship in the company.
Okay. I agree with your points that it's the main championship and it's a main event. Roman don't work singles matches on Saturdays.
I mean, I think he's about to. It's not like it's like a demotion or like a bad thing. It's just he's not the champion anymore.
Well, not as of January 30th, but talk to me in a couple of months.
We'll be talking every week. So we'll follow this as it happens. But last year, remember, diamond fucking hands, everybody. I never flinched. I said Cody was going to be the guy the entire time when everyone, The Rock's coming in and The Rock's going to ruin this. And obviously there was a lot of doubt at certain times as far as like what the hell is going on, what direction they're actually going to go. But I came here on this show every week that whole time and said, diamond hands. I'm sticking with Cody. Cody's going to be the guy and he's going to win the championship WrestleMania. He's going to finish the story, and he did it. And now he's the guy. He's been the guy for the last year. And not only is he going to defend the title at WrestleMania, he's going to retain the title at WrestleMania. He's going to be the champion going into next year's WrestleMania. So
you're very confident.
I'm very confident.
Like you got to respect Stephen Jensen and his confidence in Cody Rhodes, believing he's going to main event night 2 of WrestleMania. Cody might main event night 2 of WrestleMania. He might, but only if Roman Reigns is involved in that match. That's the only way Cody's main eventing night 2 of WrestleMania. Sorry.
We'll come back to this clip. We'll come back to this clip around the time of WrestleMania. Someone clip this and have this ready for the week of WrestleMania when we find out that Cody's main eventing night 2.
Let me bring you back to Bad Blood, Jensen. I don't know.
I remember Cody came out first in the main event, and I remember I was there.
His hometown. He was the champion. His hometown. Yeah, who came out last? The
Rock came out last
in that. Well, technically true, but yeah, I don't know, brother.
The Rock didn't wrestle night. The Rock didn't wrestle night 2 last year. He wrestled night 1.
Yeah, because they had Roman and Cody for night 2.
And they're going to have CM Punk versus Cody for night 2 if they go that route. I mean, are you really going to, like, did people really think that CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes isn't a big enough match to main event night 2 of WrestleMania?
Do you not think Roman and Rollins is a big enough match to main event night 2 of WrestleMania?
Well, is there a title on the line?
Of course there's a title on the line.
So Rollins wins the title between now and WrestleMania, or Roman?
Take your pick.
You're talking about the world title, Gunther's title.
Yeah, it might be Cody's title.
Yeah, WWE championships. The real deal. That's the.
What do you mean it's a real deal? They got a fake winged eagle championship running around with Kevin Owens calling himself the real champion.
Yeah, but that's not the real championship. The one Cody holds is.
Okay, we will come back to this clip.
We will. We'll talk about it plenty heading into WrestleMania. Don't worry, y'all.
Roman is he's main event night 2.
Said Sean says pen hit got me feeling like Vikings Brett Favre. That first season he played for us was magical stuff. I know all about what you're talking about.
So they definitely seem to set up Punk and Cody on Monday. I do wonder if that is a red herring here, and we're not getting Punk and Cody just yet. I still think Roman winning is in play. I've thrown out a lot of different scenarios over the past couple of months. The biggest thing is what's The Rock doing, because that's going to dictate everything else. It just is. If The Rock is going to wrestle, by the way, if The Rock's wrestling, Rock and Roman is headlining night 2. The Rock and Cody are friends now. You know, they're best friends. They forgave each other. So we don't need to do that match.
That was weird how they just like nullified the whole thing the last time we saw The Rock, and he just like, Cody, you're doing a great job, brother. Like keep on keeping on. They're like taking shots, backstage in the parking lot after the show. So yeah, no, that was weird because up until then, I would have said I still think it's Cody versus The Rock, but I think if The Rock's gonna wrestle, it'll be him and Roman.
Do you think that is actually going on night 1 and it's still Punk and Cody night 2?
Yep. I think you have to fully get behind Cody as your guy.
Have they not done that? That's been your whole argument. They are behind Cody.
Main eventing night 2 of WrestleMania. That's the biggest spot of the entire year. Main event of WrestleMania night 2. And Cody's their guy.
I don't think Cody is their guy.
How can you say he's not their guy at this point? He's held the championship for the last year, almost. He beat the guy who held the title for over 1,000 days for the championship. And they weren't just doing that as like let's see if Cody works out. This is like, that was the passing of the torch to the next new top guy.
Okay, then why does he need to main event night 2 of wrestling? He's their guy.
He's the WWE champion. He has the main championship in their company. He's held the title for the last year. And he'd be wrestling CM Punk, who, outside of Roman, is arguably probably the top 3 stars in the company are Cody, CM Punk, and Roman, as far as like the men go. That's so.
Who's a bigger star than all of them?
I think it depends on how you look at it.
What do you mean depends on how you look at it? Who is a bigger star than all of them? You can use any metric you would like to use. Throw a metric out there. He tops them.
Henry says, look who's on the cover of the WWE game. Who was on the cover last year, though?
Yeah, they put Cody in the main event last year because he faced Roman. Who's a bigger star than all 3 of them?
You know what my answer is going to be. Lou Bell says Logan. Yeah, Logan Paul is actually the biggest star of the company, to be fair. What was this super chat from Ryan? Let me pull this up. Ryan Adams says, excuse me, I still think that we're getting a triple threat between Cody, Punk, and Roman, because if Punk wins the Rumble, he doesn't need the favor anymore. I mean, that favor is going to be in play to some degree. The thing, like Jeremy said, the thing I'll agree with that Jeremy's saying is The Rock is going to be the big X factor when it comes to all of this. Like, if he's wrestling, then everything changes. If he's not wrestling, then everything changes. So, and we're going to find out what the favor is for Paul Heyman to CM Punk. Maybe, yeah, hopefully. But I mean, listen, up until this Monday, I was pretty confident that it was going to be CM Punk and Roman. But now I feel like CM Punk and Cody, there's so much meat on the bone there. And also it's like, not that it's meant to be this, and not that I'm being, territorial or whatever you want to call it towards one company or another. But I mean, it's a god-awful look on AEW, if we're being honest. If like the main event of one of the nights of WrestleMania is Cody versus CM Punk, and AEW let both of them slip. And like, I mean, it's just crazy.
One guy forced his way out.
Well, yeah, one guy got fired and one guy let his contract run out. 2 completely different circumstances. But at the end of the day, they're both in the same spot. They're both out of AEW and both the 2 of the 3 biggest. I got to throw Logan in there. I'm sorry. I know I legitimately have to. The top 4 male stars in the company, Cody, Roman, Punk, and Logan Paul, of those 2 of those 4 were in AEW. And now we'll probably main event WrestleMania against each other. So it's rough.
Who's bigger than all of them, Jensen?
Cody Rhodes. We can have this argument all day, all night, every day. There's no point in continuing to argue.
You are crazy. You are crazy if you think Cody and Punk is headlining night 2 over Rock and Roman. You are crazy.
Okay, it's possible that The Rock and Roman can main event night 2. It's very possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible that happens.
What's your odds on this?
Dude, I don't make odds. I've been getting fleeced with my gambling lately, by the way. I don't even need to get into all that. I've been hitting 3 out of 4s and 5 out of 6s on my parlays on everything the last few days. It's been rough. Not only am I sick as a dog, I'm sitting here losing money by the hour. What else is there? Women's Rumble. I think we're going to get Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. I think that's pretty obvious. But I don't know if Charlotte necessarily needs to win the WrestleMania for that.
You win the Rumble.
I'm sorry, win the WrestleMania, win the Royal Rumble. If it isn't Charlotte, who do you think has the best chances on the women's side?
It should be Charlotte. This should be a 30-second Royal Rumble. Charlotte enters number 1 and just boots everybody out the moment they get in. Rumble lasts about 15 minutes or so. That's my prediction.
Okay. Realistically, though, who do you think Let me know in the chat, everyone. Also, like, who do you think wins the women's Royal Rumble? I feel like Charlotte's just too obvious.
I think they have a real good opportunity to make Jordynne Grace out of this. I know Jordynne is claiming she's hosting her mom's 50th birthday party, which apparently her mom's birthday is on January 31st. So she's not lying about when her mom's birthday is. Whether or not she's actually hosting a 50th birthday party, don't know about that. Because she did this last year, I'm pretty sure, after the reports came out that she was in town for the Rumble and was going to be used for the Rumble. She's like, no, guys, I'm at home. Look. And then, of course, she was in the Rumble. So I still think she's going to be in the Rumble. I think they have a real opportunity to like make her off of this. Apparently, Nick Khan spoke very highly of her at this town hall meeting that they had yesterday. I don't know if they're going to go in that direction, but I think it would be a nice break from, oh, here's Charlotte winning or here's Bianca winning. Like they've won the Rumble before. Do they really need to do it again? I don't think so. Jordynne Grace winning would be, oh, we're going full bore with Jordynne Grace here. We're establishing her as a main event player right off the bat. I think that would be a good move.
I mean, I like that idea a lot. I've always loved Jordynne. I loved her before she was even in TNA. Like, I remember her on the indie scene, and like she did this show in Nashville locally when I was living there called the Making Towns Classic. It was an all-women's tournament in the Nashville Fairgrounds. That was really, really good. She's been good a long time. I'd be very happy to see her win the Royal Rumble. A lot of people saying Becky. I think that's a good call. I could definitely see that happening. Some people saying Roxanne. I doubt it, but I mean, I don't hate the idea. I love me some Jade Cargill. I would love to see that happen. She's been off TV for a minute, but
I don't know. Figure out who attacked her before she can
right?
do anything.
Right. I mean, maybe. I guess are the women's tag champions Naomi and Bianca?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see Bianca and Jade one-on-one. If one of them could win if like one of them wins the Rumble and one of them wins the championship before WrestleMania, I'd like to see that happen. But I think probably the odds-on favorite would probably have to be Charlotte. But like my gut is telling me Becky the more that I think about it. Like surprise return, immediately insert her in a main event level match of WrestleMania for the championship. I could see that. The good thing with the WWE is like, you know, the women's roster is so insanely stacked at the moment. And like, it's just getting better with people like Jordynne Grace and like the call-ups they could do from NXT and stuff that like, I'd legitimately be fine with like half of the field winning the Royal Rumble, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to go, my prediction up until today was Charlotte, but I think Becky is probably the right move. Although we've seen that so many times, right? Like Becky, like in that type of spot, but she's been off TV long enough that like it would make sense. Grapsy, I'm assuming Phil says, and this isn't Phil, by the way, let me know so I don't keep saying that. But,
it would be 6 a.m. for Reg.
Yeah, that's true. On the West Coast.
I don't feel like Reg is up that early. Maybe he is.
Listen, I love Io Sky. She's one of my favorites. I'd be more than happy for Io. I just don't know. There's a lot of directions they can go, but I feel like no matter what, we're gonna get Tiffany versus Charlotte, but Charlotte doesn't necessarily have to win the Royal Rumble for that to happen.
I think it would be hilarious if Charlotte comes in at number 30 and just wins.
You know,
it would piss so many people off, but it would be hilarious to me.
There was a match years ago, the Phoenix City Rumble match from like they do it every year for the SCI. But this was probably like 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer. But I'll never forget. And I remember, I believe Dylan Hales was the one that booked this. This was so smart. So there was an SCI Rumble one year where AC Mack was the 30th entrant.
Yeah.
And everyone was eliminated before he came out. Like the last few people before him eliminated, like double eliminated each other. So the ring was completely empty. And then he just walked in at number 30 and won. Didn't have to do anything. I was like, that's actually that's genius. Like we've never seen that on like a major promotion.
Did Cody Lane just bring that up when we talked to him? Somebody we just interviewed talked about this.
Did we, I'm so bad about remembering what order we did our interviews in, but I mean, we interview people from TWE and stuff all the time. Those are all sister promotions, TWE Action.
Now, this was like very recent. Like it was literally within the last week. It had to be Blackwood or Cody Lane. One of them referenced that AC Mack won the Rumble without like eliminating anybody.
Yeah, I remember when it happened. I watched it live. I think at the time it was still Powerbomb.tv before it even became IWTV. But I remember interviewing Dylan Hales not long after that, and him kind of explaining how like genius of a concept it was, and that how surprising it was that no one has ever done that.
They would never do that in WWE because they love the drama of the last elimination, which is understandable. But it would be hilarious finish if they did it. And I feel like they could do it on like a smaller, like kind of Rumble gimmick, which I don't know when that would be. Maybe when they go to Saudi Arabia next year, they can just do it.
Do it in the greatest Royal Rumble. Do another 50-man Rumble and then have the last person just come out and win with no one in the ring after.
Tozawa just comes out at number 50 and he's the winner.
Or not Yokozuna. Remember that guy? The guy that the Saudis asked for Yokozuna. So because unfortunately Yokozuna couldn't be there for obvious reasons. They invited some random Japanese or some random sumo wrestler, I should say, sumo wrestler looking guy who I think actually was a sumo wrestler. That's the only time we've ever seen that guy too. I don't recall seeing that guy on anything but that one match. And it was like 10 seconds long. I'm pretty sure Mark Henry eliminated him immediately. But I'll never forget that. Just this guy who came out is like, yeah, that's definitely not Yokozuna, but a lot of the fan base there live is probably pretty hyped to see who they thought was Yokozuna.
They should 100% do some gimmick like that. They should do it with Charlotte this year. I'm all in on just whatever pisses off the fan base with Charlotte winning.
I mean, nothing would piss people off more than this concept of like her being number 30 and everyone being eliminated, her just coming out and stepping foot in the ring and the bell rings and she wins. I would actually like to see, because they do 2 Royal Rumbles a year, you know what I mean? So like, and then actually technically more than that if they're going to run more in Saudi Arabia. So like, I'm fine as long as it doesn't become a thing that we ever see again. Like I would never want it to be like multiple years where there was a finish. But if they do that one time, 1 year, and they're doing 2 Royal Rumbles in the same night, I'm totally fine with the finish like that.
You can't do it. You can't do it at the actual Royal Rumble event. Like you just can't.
I mean, probably not. We're just floating ideas here. It probably won't happen. You're right, but it's an interesting idea. And a great way to have people hate Charlotte, which is what you're talking about.
I guess Charlotte's a heel. She's going to get cheered upon like return. The music's going to hit and the crowd's going to cheer.
Joe Hendry.
Don't think that's the actual Joe Hendry.
If it is the real Joe Hendry, if you can prove yourself to be the real Joe Hendry, if you want to DM me on Twitter, FightTalk_ and say, hey, this is actually Joe Hendry in the chat, that would be sick. We're going to talk about Joe Hendry on the show today. Actually, as a matter of fact, speaking of the Royal Rumble, I fully expect Joe Hendry to show up with the TNA Championship in the Men's Royal Rumble.
Do you think he'll have like a good showing in it? Like I expect it. But when he was in the NXT Battle Royal, he just got eliminated immediately by Frankie Kazarian.
I mean, I hope he has a good showing because that was a big part. We've talked about it before that we both feel like Joe Hendry should have won the championship months ago, probably at Slammiversary in that 6-person elimination match. But the mindset was probably to have him win the title more recently at Genesis because, it's fresh on everyone's mind that he just won the championship. There's buzz around it. So I don't know. I honestly don't think it matters how long he's showing in the matches. I think the real W for him and for TNA is him just appearing with that championship, at the Royal Rumble. So I don't expect him to win the Royal Rumble, but I just think that's and honestly, it's going to be a big litmus test because the WWE is going to have their eyes peeled and their ears wide open for what kind of reaction he gets. Because long term, Joe Hendry, we're all assuming, will be a part of the WWE, very similar to what's happening with Jordan right now. But if he comes out and like the whole fan base is, doing the song with him and, waving their arms from side to side and stuff, like if the whole fan base is in on it and like they react to him, like that's going to be humongous for his career going forward, in my opinion. because the WWE's going to really want him there, and they're really going to want to push him.
I don't know how, like, main roster, if Joe Hendry is going to be that guy on the main roster. I think he'd be great in NXT, because NXT, especially their men's division, could really use any help they can get right now. Main roster, though, feels like he's super popular. I'm not going to take that away from him at all. Feels like mid-card main roster act, and might be better off in main event scene NXT to continue to elevate instead of just kind of being stuck in the mid-card on the main roster.
Maybe in the short term, but I mean, obviously the long-term goal isn't going to be for him or for the company for him to be in NXT, forever. And he's already done a stint in NXT. I mean, I could see him going there and like maybe working there for a little while, but ultimately there's going to have to be plans to put him on the main roster. The reason that he has such a good chance, in my opinion, is because he looks the role. Like he's in very good shape, right? Like he looks like a world champion, very clean cut. And he's all, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think you'll see how small he is compared to a lot of those WWE main roster guys, though.
Yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, he's still in good shape. I don't know how tall he is, but the main thing is going to be the reaction. I mean, like,
but the reaction
that doesn't always. I know that it doesn't always carry over. You could wind up like Fandango or whatever, right? Like, I mean, people might do the song and dance for a few weeks and then it dies out. I mean, like, who knows? But I feel like the WWE is for sure going to put him in the Royal Rumble to get an idea for how over he is with their main audience.
He'll get a reaction at the Royal Rumble, I would assume, because it is just an arena show. One person's going to react. It's going to carry, and he'll get a good reaction there. I'm not so worried about like a short-term reaction to him. I'm worried about a long-term. Can he kind of maintain that with his character and gimmick? I mean, he's been kind of a comedy guy in TNA. Like everything he's done has been sort of comedy based, and like he's very good at it. I'm not saying he's bad at it at all, but that sort of act screams mid-card act in WWE to me. Like I need to see something a little bit more serious out of him, and maybe he could do it. Maybe he just hasn't been given the opportunity. I hope we see that in TNA a little bit moving forward, which I don't know if we are. Well, he's only been the champion for a week, so I'm not going to judge his title reign based on 1 week. But I just need to see a little bit more of the serious side, because that's what the WWE like main card, like main event scene is. There ain't a whole lot of comedy act right now in that scene.
I don't expect him to be a main event act, especially not right away. But I would also, and this is just the honest truth. And this is me, and I could be totally wrong, and there could be people who completely disagree with this. I think you're better off in the grand scheme of things as a mid-card act in the WWE than you are as the TNA World Champion. Way more money, way more exposure. I mean, that's a better. Sure. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, so it's not like it's a bad thing if he showed up and wound up in the mid-card in the WWE. That's not a bad thing.
I think he's better off as a main eventer in NXT than a mid-card comedy act in WWE. Like go to NXT and maybe show you have a little bit more range than your comedy shtick. And then when you get to the main roster, you can always go back to that, but at least now you've shown, when he needs to be serious, he can be serious, but he's got to show that first. And sure. Look, maybe he never shows it in NXT. Maybe it just winds out that he doesn't have that side of him. And then, all right, cool. There might be a spot for him as that mid-card act forever in WWE. But I think there's a better opportunity to show that in NXT than being on the main roster. Like if I look at his promos and stuff, his style works for him. But that up against the likes of, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, like,
Cody Rhodes,
ain't working.
I'll tell you who won't be at the Royal Rumble. You guys got any guesses of who won't be there? I've seen her name in the chat a few times. I would not be getting my hopes up for Tessa Blanchard. I do not think that the WWE wants She's a Racist chants for 20,000 people strong. So that's an interesting dynamic as well, that like WWE is in business with this partnership in TNA, and she just recently got re-signed, because I think WWE wants nothing to do with that for obvious reasons. So I will probably I will go ahead and say smart money is probably on Tessa not appearing at the Royal Rumble. I'm only bringing that up because I've seen her name in the chat a handful of times.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be there. I have no idea what WWE's perception of her is. I don't know if the TNA thing feels like a testing water of, let's just see how things go. And if it goes well.
Tessa hasn't gone too well in TNA, though. Like, I mean, those chants are not good.
No, they're not. Like, they're not. There's no hiding from them. I don't know if that's a small arena thing, and if you get her in front of a big arena, if she's gonna get that type of reaction. I think it's sort of less about that and more about how is she backstage, how is she to deal with, and things like that. Like the TNA run, look, she worked with Jordan, bless Jordan, who did good business and was a professional on the way out.
And the match was fantastic for what it's worth. Like they had a really good match on the show.
Here's TNA held a battle royal. Sorry, spoiler alert, everybody. There's a battle royal to crown a number one contender for the Knockouts title. Tessa wasn't in that battle royal. I don't know what that signifies, but you would think the person who just beat the former Knockouts champion and is claiming to be the greatest ever would probably be in a battle royal to earn a shot at the Knockouts title. And she wasn't. I don't know what their plan is moving forward with Tessa, because it feels like she should be fighting for the Knockouts title, but I don't think they want to go to that well too quickly, because then it doesn't, I think the perception of that isn't great, but otherwise she's just kind of there and not working with anybody. It's a weird, I don't say it's a weird situation. They brought this upon themselves, you know, they hired her back. So I don't have any real sympathy for what they've booked themselves into here. But yeah, I would not expect her in the Royal Rumble. Me
either. And I apologize. I hope you guys can't hear it, but there's somebody. Today is just not my day. Sick as a dog.
Are your neighbors banging again? You got to go tell them to shut up?
No, my neighbor. That's so funny you say that. My neighbor is this sweet old lady named Linda. She's like my grandma's. She reminds me so much of my grandmother. And she's this nice old lady. We will no Linda slander here on the show.
But not slandering her. Good on her for you know.
Yeah, sure. But
that's on the sex, Linda.
What Jeremy's referring to is there was work being done on my roof months ago, and it sounded like someone was banging, and we thought
there was work being done.
We thought my neighbor was having a good morning. Yeah, what's happening outside right now is there's people, I think, with like either a leaf blower or something. I can hear something outside, so I apologize if that's coming through. Don't hinder the Linda. Another Linda.
Linda's over, brother.
Dude, Linda's over. Linda's cool. Linda's cool. She comes over every now and then because she can't like open a jar or something. You know what I mean? She's like, "Can you help me get the pickle jar open?" Oh, sure, absolutely. It makes you feel like the strongest person alive. It's I remember there was a comedy act like 20 years ago. Who was it? Was it Stephen something or other? It's a guy who like did a lot of songs. I think. No, it was Nick Swardson. It was a Nick Swardson comedy act from like decades ago, where he talks about something similar. Where he's like, "I love being around my grandma because she makes me feel so strong." She'll be like, "Hey, can you get me that gallon of milk?" And they'll be like, "What? This milk?" And like hold it over my head. And it's like, "You were the strongest man alive." That's how Linda makes me feel. So, you know, I'm happy I'm able to help her out a little bit with little things while I'm still, you know. I'm not young, but, you know, I'm able to open the pickle jar, so.
Shout out to Linda. I hope things going well.
Shout out to Linda.
What do you expect any surprises? What surprises do you expect in the men's and women's Rumble? Not winners, but like, are you hoping for a return of somebody in these Rumbles?
Oh, man. I really haven't thought too deep because it's obviously like, it's so wide open, and especially with the WWE actually having some relationships with other companies now, Like it'd be sick for like Marufuji to enter because they have like a relationship with Noah, for instance. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's a name I haven't really heard. I like that.
Yeah, I'll throw that out there. Something like that. I think I think Marufuji would be a very cool one. And he's one that the fans, I mean, a good chunk of the fan base would know him. I wouldn't be like every single person in the WWE universe would know, but like he's been around long enough. He has enough clout that I think he'd get a good reaction. And he can go in there and hit his spots, hit his question mark kicks and some nice knees and stuff and like get over super fast.
Oh, CM Punk's like clamoring to be in the ring if Marufuji shows up.
Maybe Kojima. We've seen CM Punk and Kojima share the ring before in AEW. Kojima.
CM Punk's got flashbacks of Kojima dropping an elbow on his dick.
Yeah, that ruled. Kojima rules. Yeah. I would love if they went outside, like really outside the box to like MLW and got like Cruel in the match or something. But that's like that's like a pipe dream. Like, guys that I'm a fan of would be cool, like to pop in. But I don't expect that obviously, but just throwing out, long shots.
I hope AJ Lee does show up and people can finally get their AJ Lee moment of Markism.
Yeah, I mean, fans are going to be calling for her to show up ever since CM Punk came back. They're, it's understandable. Grapsody asked, or Phil, I should say, asked, do we see any WWE ID wrestlers in the Rumble? I doubt it. Obviously, I would love to see that. It'd be really, really cool, especially on the women. I think on the women's side, it's a little more likely. I could maybe see like Zeta Steel or someone like that sliding in. But
Kylie Ray,
Smiley Kylie that would make a lot of sense. But I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of everyone who's been ID'd. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like I think it'd be really cool to see Jack Cartwheel get a big pop or a big spot. Come out there and just start doing, because he's so unique in his moveset that he can go out there and just start doing cartwheels around the ring.
And Jack would get over just doing a bunch of cartwheels, and people would pop for it.
Exactly. Marcus Mathers, someone like that would just be really cool to see. I don't have my hopes up for the WWE IDs to show up though, but. I think if we see any, I think it's more likely on the women's side.
And I wouldn't expect any WWE ID because it's not like they're known to a portion of the fan base, but they're not known to much of the fan base. It's a very obviously online portion.
See, I think Kylie would be fairly well known because she's been around for so long and she has wrestled in AEW and TNA and stuff. And then it'd have to be someone like Jack Cartwheel, like I said, someone who's like super unique in a way that like they could come out and do some signature spots that nobody else does and like use that to get over with the audience. Who Likes Fake Shorts says Cole cashes in for Cole Radrick with the brass ring, uses that to cash in for the shot at the WWE Championship. That'd be sick. Y'all know, obviously, I want nothing but success for our homie Cole Radrick, but
I hope it gets put to a table if he shows up.
Yeah, he got these weird beefs with the people that we have strong relationships with. I think Josh Barnett's actually not a bad option. I could see that maybe. Once again, he's been around forever. The MMA audience knows him. The WWE audience, most of them would probably know him. They have a relationship with GCW and WWE. And Barnett has a lot of history with a lot of people currently in the WWE, whether he wrestled them or trained them, like someone like Shayna Baszler, for instance. So I think Josh Barnett's more likely than like a WWE ID wrestler in the men's Rumble, for instance.
I don't think Josh Barnett is showing up.
Probably not, but I mean, who knows? And like, they mentioned Cole Radrick, as I said before. Cole isn't ID'd, so I doubt anybody who's like an indie worker that hasn't been ID'd by the WWE has any chance of being in it. But it's interesting to think about. Obviously, I'm a fan of all these people, so like I would love to see them with a ton more eyes on them. That's the thing with the WWE that's so crazy is like, I mean, obviously it's a humongous step from the indie scene to the WWE. That's a big leap. But like, even if you had your entire career in AEW and you show up in WWE one time, you're immediately like 3 or 4 times the star immediately. Like you're going to go from, even if you've been on national TV in AEW, like the second you show up in the WWE, you're going to be noticed at every airport you go to for the rest of your life. Like, that's the difference. And that's not a slight on AEW. Y'all know I love AEW. There's some frustrating things about the current AEW product that
hater. You're going to be branded as an AEW hater.
I'm not, but it's just the honest truth, especially with how big this Netflix and Raw deal is and how popular the WWE is at the moment and everything. Like, it's just a completely different level. So, you know, someone says, Louisville says Steve Blackman. I've been waiting on a Steve Blackman signed redemption card that I pulled from so like if you buy like, boxes of like hobby boxes of like wrestling cards, sometimes you'll get a redemption card, meaning it's like a blank card that it just says like, send this code into panini.com and then they will mail you, like once they sign the card, they'll mail it to you. It hasn't been signed yet. And I have like 10 cards right now pending from Panini, some for over a year. One of them is Steve Blackman. I've been bummed out about it because I love Steve Blackman. So I don't want to like, because you can opt for like a replacement card or like to get points to buy something different. And I'm holding strong because I want my Steve Blackman autograph. I think it'd be awesome to see Steve Blackman in the Royal Rumble. Just come out, hits people with a few kendo sticks and bail. Like, that'd be sick.
Oh, Billy Gunn shows up.
That'd be kind of tough with his like he's still with AEW, right? I feel like I haven't seen him in a while.
He was just on Collision the other week, scissoring with Bowens because the Acclaimed broke up.
That's why I haven't seen him in a while.
Don't watch Collision.
Very off on Collision at the moment.
Wow.
Dude, it's Saturday night. It's tough. I mean, that's when like most indie shows I cover are running. That's when UFC runs. I mean, it's if AEW Collision ran 6:05 Saturdays like WCW Saturday Night did, I'd watch it way more often because it'd be on before everything else that I cover. But if it comes down to like GCW or Collision, I'm watching GCW every time.
AEW hater Stephen Jensen.
No. My job
you're skipping on Collision.
My job for Fightful is literally to cover independent wrestling. So if there's indie shows that I'm interested in that run parallel to Collision, I'm watching the indie shows.
You're skipping out on Collision. I'm branding you an AEW hater.
Mm-hmm. Watch Dynamite every Wednesday.
Yeah, that's good, I guess.
I mean, I was aware that Bowens and Castor split up. I just didn't know that Billy Gunn was like actually a part of any of that. Whatever, it's not a big deal, obviously. What's next? Do we have any more WWE? Is there any other matches that we're missing for Royal Rumble? Obviously, I got Cody retaining over Kevin Owens. We can just screw right past through that.
Kevin should win.
Yeah, I know you feel that way. That won't be happening. And then what's the women's? Is there a women's title match?
No,
it's just the.
There's a tag team title match.
That's right.
Motor City Machine.
2 out of 3 falls, right? Yeah. That's a tough one to call. I like both teams. I've been a fan of Motor City forever. So like, I thought it was super cool when they came in and pretty much immediately won the championships. I'd like to see them get the titles back, but I'm not a hater of DIY. It wouldn't bother me if they retain. I just want to see a banger match. That'll be a banger 2 out of 3 falls match. I'm looking forward to it. I forgot that was on the pay-per-view. That's going to be a good one.
Cyclops better than Wolverine says, why do you hate AEW and want it to fail, Jensen?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to just move into AEW topics?
All right, official prediction for the Royal Rumble. Let's get it on record. Men's, you're going CM Punk.
Yep.
And women's, you're going Becky.
I'm going to stick with Charlotte.
Okay, Charlotte. Okay. All right, it's on record.
And by the way, everyone, Wrestle Rumble is no more. So, like, usually you'd be here shilling Wrestle Rumble and talking about the prizes, and I'd be even more hyped for the Royal Rumble than I am at the moment. But shout out to our buddy Matt at Wrestle Rumble. He retired the website, so there is no Wrestle Rumble pick'em or anything for the Royal Rumble, unfortunately. But that always made it more interesting, that's for sure.
I'll move on
Bumper?
to AEW.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. It was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
Well, can we talk about Timeless Toni Storm since you don't watch Collision?
Well, no, I'm aware of what's going on. Okay, I know. So, and this actually played out how I expected it to. Like after like the first appearance or two of whatever you call Rocker Toni Storm, whatever you call her, the original Toni Storm. And I think I saw some others on like social media like saying this as well, but I was like, oh, if she's playing the role of old school Toni and she's still timeless, that's actually really smart. Like that's actually a really good storyline, and that's exactly what it wound up being. Timeless Toni is one of the most over people AEW has, and also, we interviewed a guy at Porticus not too long ago who started watching the WWE 2 years ago and has recently started branching out more into other wrestling shows, and he's become a huge fan of Timeless Toni. So it's just one of those things I like to use as a kind of litmus test too, like brand new fans, who do you attract to, and he loves Timeless Toni. It's not like he didn't know about, like, he never saw her in the WWE, like he didn't know about her WWE career previously, and just based on what he's seen in the last few months, he's like, super into it. So, and I bring that up because obviously he's not the only one. I mean, a lot of the fans, and also Timeless Toni, in my opinion, and probably your opinion as well, because you cover the scrums, she's the best thing about those AEW post-fight scrums. Like, she comes out and just like reads a script in character and leaves, and it's like, it's the best. It's the most entertaining thing about those. So yeah, if you're gonna see Timeless Toni officially return, do you think she beats Mariah May to win the title back?
I think she does. I kind of thought they were going to hold off on Timeless Toni, and Mariah May was going to win this match. And then we would get Timeless Toni Storm at Revolution, since that's in California and Los Angeles. And it's like, look, Hollywood, here's the return of Timeless Toni Storm. But now that they've gone back to Timeless Toni Storm here, it would make sense for her to win the match at Grand Slam. So I think she ends up winning the match. I thought the segment was really good. Like, crowd reacted huge. Tony's performance was great. Mariah sold it well. I do wonder if it was just a little too early, because last night Mariah comes out and Renee tried to sell it. It was like, you're visibly shaken by this. And maybe Mariah's just projecting false confidence, but she said exactly what she should have said, of like, I beat you. I'm not worried about Timeless Toni Storm. I beat Timeless Toni Storm. I made her quit multiple promotions. We hadn't seen her since London, and then she went to Mexico and quit. Then she went to Japan and quit. It's going to end the same way your first story ended, me winning. I'm like, yeah, why did Timeless Toni Storm decide to return here after getting beat down in that segment? And then, Mariah sold it well, but you kind of revealed your mind game 2 weeks early, to where now Mariah is not really thrown off by anything. And your mind game was pretending to be someone that Mariah hadn't beaten, but turning back into someone that Mariah has beaten. So it was a great moment. The crowd reacted huge. Everyone sold it well. It felt like a moment more than a logical story beat.
Yeah. I'm with you, and I'm with you on the prediction as well. I think Timeless Toni is gonna win the championship back, and I really like Mariah May, like her whole run in AEW up to now. She was another one where I know I've been talking a lot today about, the past, and I remember Mariah when she was like, I don't think she was even wrestling when I became aware of her, because she was friends with Kayla, who y'all might know better as she was part of the Church of Joshi. She's been like silent off the internet for years now, Kayla. But her and Mariah were friends, and me and Kayla were good friends because we lived near each other in Nashville. We used to go to a lot of the same indie shows. And I remember Mariah, like, she'd go to like WWE events and like cosplay like as other wrestlers and stuff, which is kind of crazy because she wound up doing that like in AEW, cosplaying Toni Storm. But I remember her going to the shows as just like a fan, and to see where she's at now from then is like super, super cool. And I think she's great. I think she's very good in the ring. I think she cuts good promos. She's obviously gorgeous. I mean, like, she comes off like a major star. So I like that she won the championship, and her story with Toni, I think, has been really good. But that said, I do think it makes the most sense for the current story that they're telling for Toni Storm to win the championship back.
And then the other AEW topic is the Gun Club is close to returning. We don't know when, but there was a vignette aired last night on Dynamite, and they will be back at some point.
Sorry, I was coughing. What did you say?
The Gun Club is returned.
Oh, yes. This was my topic, as a matter of fact. So first off, I thought the vignette was really, really good. I don't know how you felt about it, but I feel more invested in the Gun Club in that one vignette than I did for like most of their actual, obviously they had bright moments on the show, like winning the AEW Tag Team Championships, being a part of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang and all that stuff. Like, and once again, guys who literally went from being extras in the crowd basically during the pandemic as like fill-ins for the seats in the front row to, becoming the tag team champions, which was really cool to see. I like both Austin and Colton. I think that they're both talented in their own respects. I know Austin raps and stuff like that as well. He does music. I don't know if Colton does as well, but they're multi-talented. Obviously, they have the wrestling in their blood, being the sons of Billy Gunn. I think it makes sense for Billy to reunite with them as well, like especially if the Acclaimed is going to split up or has split up. I'd probably put Billy back with his sons, but that's just my personal opinion. But I really like the vignette, and they're basically talking about a lot of the stuff that I just brought up. The whole thing was pretty much them kind of like driving around the city, watching old clips of them winning the championships and some of their bright moments since AEW started, and lifting weights and getting back into ring shape and everything to come back. Were they injured or anything, or were they just off TV? Do you know?
I think Austin was injured because they hadn't wrestled since September. Colton had the during the Bang Bang Gang feud with Hangman Page, during the Jay White Hangman Page feud, Hangman referenced that like he knocked Austin silly and to where he couldn't remember his own name, which implies concussion. I don't think that was ever out there, but I'm just going with what Hangman said. And then Colton attacked him in that segment, and then Colton was off television after that. So I do think Austin was injured.
Okay, that makes sense, because I mean, you never know with AEW and their roster and stuff. Sometimes people just get shelved for months, years at a time, it seems like. So I wasn't sure the case, but if Austin was injured, then it totally makes sense they were off TV then, obviously. So I'm looking forward to their return. I expect them to get a big push in the tag team division, and I'm trying to think, because do you think that they come back and they pretty much immediately do them in the Hurt Syndicate?
No, I hope they come back and they help Jay White so he has some friends.
That's probably a good call. Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, they should come back and they should kind of go after Hangman, because that's who kind of took him out for a little while. So I think it'd make a lot of sense for them to go after Hangman, but they seem to just drop those stories after guys get hurt, and then there's no great follow-up on that, which is very disappointing, because anytime they do sort of injury angles like that, they can, and I don't think this was an angle, it was a real thing that happened. They kind of turned it into a bit of an angle, but I think going after Hangman would actually make the most sense. I just don't think that's where they're going to end up going, because I don't know if they're going to be back as baby faces or heels. Like, this was kind of a babyface promo. They're probably going to get a good reaction upon return, but they could easily slot in as heels. It just depends on how they decide to utilize them. The tag team division needs some help right now. The tag team division kind of needs baby faces if you're supposed to heal the Hurt Syndicate,
even though they're baby faces.
All right, so if you want to babyface the Hurt Syndicate, then the Guns being heels works kind of as well. So yeah. I think the Guns would be good opponents for Hurt Syndicate, but they gotta put a little bit into the Guns and not just, hey, here's a team for the Hurt Syndicate to beat. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just joking around that, the Hurt Syndicate gets babyface reactions, but they're trying to push them as heels. But I think the Gun Club would have a good match with them. I wouldn't want to see it immediately, though, kind of like what we're both saying, because I don't expect the Gun Club to beat the Hurt Syndicate right off the bat either. They just won the titles, so yeah. But I'm interested to see the Guns back. I feel like they're kind of missed also. Like my buddy Mike, who watches AEW most of the time, he's brought it up the last few weeks. He's like, where the hell have the guns been? And like, I haven't had an answer for him. It's like, I don't know. They've been off TV for a while, but you know, fans want to see them back. And I think that vignette helped.
I mean, the vignette was very Charlotte Flair. They just took it from her of what happened.
Well, it was good. It was a good steal.
Anything else from AEW? I feel like we've shortchanged AEW.
I mean, yeah, people are gonna hate on me for even bringing it up, but I liked the New York Minute segment with Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith, mainly because they're planting the seeds for Jericho. Like Jericho's clearly not happy with Big Bill, so I expect that split to happen soon. And Brian Keith's always hilarious with his just like one word. I can't remember what he said last night. He said something like he said one word, and I was like cackling. I was laughing so hard. I can't remember what he said.
He shouldn't be unhappy with Big Bill. He should be unhappy with Brian Keith. Brian Keith lost the match.
True, but you know, I know people like to hate on Jericho. I know it's the cool thing to do, and I get it. But Jericho's been my guy for, you know, he's my favorite wrestler from like the late 90s until like recently, until Cody finally got this push that we're finally seeing. Jericho is my guy. So, you know, I've got a soft spot for him. I don't boo him along with everybody else, but I hope that Big Bill gets a big push soon, because I've said it a trillion times on this show and other shows. Like, Big Bill should be handled like a major star. Like, you do. To have that guy's size and to be as good in the ring as he is and on the mic and everything, like, it's incredibly rare. Like, Omos, I think I've always liked Omos, and people hated on me for even being an Omos fan in the WWE. I was immediately impressed by him, even just watching him as the doorman for Raw Underground. I was like, look at this guy. I remember when he was like one of the ninjas for like Tozawa or whatever. I was like, who's that guy? That guy's humongous. And then, like, he actually can work decently, like, for a guy his size especially. And he had a good run in Noah recently. So it's like, you know, Omos is a good example. But I think Big Bill is, like, twice as good in the ring as Omos. And that's my whole point. Is, like, I think Omos is solid. And I hope to see Omos back in the WWE soon. And I hope that they push him and actually use him and use his size and do something with him. But, like, Big Bill is, like, twice as good, in my opinion, when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to on the mic. He has way more experience. Obviously, he has personal demons, but he seems to be way past that at this point. So I think AEW is doing their company a disservice by not pushing Big Bill as a major star. And if they don't do it, the WWE will if he leaves. So I'm just putting that out there too. What are you distracted by, Jeremy?
Oh, nothing. I asked, will they? Like, will they push him?
WWE?
Yeah.
I think WWE absolutely would push Big Bill if they got him back. But I think AEW should push him since he's currently there.
I don't know if they would. Really,
I mean, that's obviously the big thing with him being in the learning tree, right? Is like at some point the end game of that whole group, I feel like, has to be a catalyst for Big Bill to get a push as a singles wrestler, like beat Jericho one-on-one at some point in the near future. I feel like those seeds are being planted for the learning tree right now. Pun intended.
I mean, we'll see. I don't got full faith that we're going to see Big Bill turn on Chris Jericho and come out as a bigger star because of it.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. And I hope Brian Keith gets the push also, by the way, for what it's worth. I've always loved Brian Keith, the bounty hunter. Like, you know, he's always been super talented. It's good that he's doing something. He's being used. Sorry, go ahead.
ROH champion Big Bill.
I mean, I could totally see that. I could totally see that. I'm not saying that's the best idea, but I could see it.
It'd actually kind of rule.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like right now the whole thing with Jericho being their champion, I think Jericho even did an interview recently. I just glanced it. So, like, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Don't want to spread fake news or anything, but it's not like this is like a life or death type of thing I'm about to bring up. But it sounds like Tony Khan is still very much trying to shop Ring of Honor around, and he thinks that Jericho being the champion gives him a better chance to get a TV deal. So but it's not happening, obviously, at least not yet. So,
yeah, Chris Jericho said that there's offers, but obviously no offers have been accepted. Who knows what those offers are? I don't know. There isn't a whole lot of stock in Ring of Honor right now, even if with Chris Jericho as the champion, because I don't know what the streaming numbers are. I assume Tony's providing them in some capacity to these networks or other platforms because they probably want to know what the numbers are. And it's not like Chris Jericho was on the show actively building anything. Like, he might appear for a New York minute and then he doesn't actually compete on the show. So
yeah. Well, it's like a rug pull, right? Almost with like, if you were like a network and you're on the fence about putting a Ring of Honor on your show. By the way, I have no idea what the numbers are for Honor Club, but I have to imagine that they're pretty low. I think that like it's kind of, it's strange to use Jericho to try to get a TV deal when, like you said, he's not even a part of the show. And then once they get the TV deal, I guarantee you they take the title off of him immediately and put it on someone else because they've already got the TV deal at that point. So it's like a rug pull almost. It's like you think you're getting this big star in Chris Jericho, but like he isn't actually on the show. So,
yeah, but they're that's true, but nobody's taking it with Chris Jericho. So
no, I know. I'm but I mean, like, I think it's even less likely anyone takes it with. I mean, I don't want to name names, but like, I mean, I'm sure there's other people that would do well as far, but you know what I mean? Like, if they're not taking it with Jericho, who are they going to take it with? If it's a network that like is on the fence about it or has no interest at all, and all they know is, oh, I remember Chris Jericho from the WWE. I mean, they don't even have a better option than that, probably. I mean, I also, to be fair, probably shouldn't be the one talking too much about Ring of Honor because, you know, part of my job for the Weekender is I read the Ring of Honor spoilers, and I'm not watching Honor Club weekly. So I know what's going on in the shows. I know the results, but it's not like oh yeah, fake. I'm such a fake fan that I watch like 13 indie shows a week to cover. Yeah.
Hey, you're a true indie fan. You're a fake ROH fan.
I have purchased every Ring of Honor pay-per-view since Tony Khan bought the company, though. I buy them all.
Well, now then you're just a mark. You're paying actual money for these shows when you don't watch the weekly television. That's even worse, Jensen.
No, I'm supporting the brand for their big shows. Pile Driver finishes as fake Taker fan. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So, when's the last time you watched Honor Club, Jeremy?
I watch it every week.
Okay, sure you do. Let's move on to the
What do you mean, sure I do?
Sure you do. Okay.
I have to cover the show weekly.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely not getting one over on me here.
I believe. I'm trying to throw you under the bus because I'm trying to get you back.
I cover this show weekly. Look who does coverage. Look who does news post for Ring of Honor every Thursday. Look who does news post for TNA Impact every Thursday.
Look who reads the spoilers for TNA and Ring of Honor. Yeah. See, when I read those, your name isn't attached to it. You know what I mean?
Because I don't do the results. Louis does the results. So, but I do news post, which is much tougher. I should say much tougher. The results, Louis got to like really pay attention. But I do the news post.
I was hoping to get you at that. I was hoping that you were going to call me out for not watching it. Then I was going to call you out and catch you in a lie, but no, I can't do that. Watch all of the show. Watch the post show on Fightful. You know, support Ring of Honor. I'm not saying not to watch the show or not to support. I'm just saying.
I watch all of these shows, sadly. Now, how much I remember, because my retention is terrible with this kind of stuff, but I cover them.
Your wife just DM'd me, sticking up for my husband. He does watch this stuff every week. LMAO. So yeah.
She's like, "Are you having to cover Ring of Honor tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, fucking hell, I am." So,
I believe your wife much more than I believe you. So I will.
Oh, that's fine. Whatever.
I will take her word for it.
The truth is the truth, and the truth is I watch it. So
no, I know. I know you do. I'm just trying to be funny.
Now, my name's not on like the results for Raw. I don't, do the Raw results post, but you look and see who does like coverage and news posts for it. It's me. So yeah, My name is not on the results for a lot of this stuff, but my name is on every other article on the website.
Yeah, no, I get it. I know how busy you are.
All right. What's next? Are we moving on? People want to. Did you watch you didn't watch the Death Riders interview with Renee Paquette? Did you?
I watched Dynamite.
Well, there was that. Yeah, they showed like a 4-minute clip from it. If that was a 20-minute interview.
Oh no, I just watched the clip from Dynamite.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on the clip that they showed?
Yeah, the Death Rider story still isn't good.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's only. I mean, you'd expect, and I don't know if in the 20 minutes they got into it at all, but have they made any allusion at all whatsoever to Moxley and Renee being married during any of that segment?
They did. So at the beginning of the interview, Renee was like, I have a different perspective on Jon Moxley. As people know, he's my husband. He's the father of my child. Like, but I want answers as well of what's going on. So that was kind of the reference that they made. I thought this thing was really good. Like, it's 20 minutes long. Everybody speaks. Claudio speaks. Pac, Marina, Wheeler, and Moxley. Like, all of them speak. I thought it was really good. The problem with it is it felt so disconnected from what we watch on television, because not Jeff Jarrett. I mean, he plays into it a little bit, but Jon Moxley talks about, building an army and wanting to build 1,000 Jon Moxleys and everything. But then he's feuding with older guys and he doesn't want to face Jeff Jarrett. Like he talks like a very prideful champion of like, you want to face me, you want to like just beat me. That's it. You want to be the champion? You want to see the title? Just come beat me. That's all you got to do. But then like he's worried about Jeff Jarrett and he's got to help Claudio against Jarrett. And that's the thing. Like Claudio needs help against Jeff Jarrett. Like Claudio's talking this big game in this interview and Moxley's putting him over of like, this man is a machine. This is a man who we want. Like this, I picked this guy for a reason because he's a guy I want to go to war with. And then you need help against 60-year-old Jeff Jarrett. Like it just felt so disconnected. And I don't know, maybe that's the point of like they're fake tough guys, but I don't think that's great either. Right. Because they should be actual tough guys. Like they're trying to kill people and like they're all badass looking people. It's not like they're, goofy comedy people trying to be fake tough guys. Like Jon Moxley has a badass look. Claudio Castagnoli has a badass look. Like they all look the part. So being fake tough guys doesn't really work either. It's not great, but
yeah. Well, and you make good points about like the fact that they're targeting, or I mean, whether they're targeting these wrestlers or the wrestlers have targeted them, it's mainly older people, like you said, like Edge or Cope or Jeff Jarrett and stuff. And then even the Death Riders themselves, it's not like Claudio's young and Pac's young. I mean, Wheeler is, but
here's another point Jon Moxley made in the interview, which again, I thought was really strong. He said, like, we inherited a wasteland of wrestling. And he's talking about like his generation, himself, Claudio, Pac. He's like, we inherited a wasteland. So you could actually tie that to like Copeland and Jarrett, because if you think about it, it's like, well, who'd you inherit it from? Who came before you? Oh, Copeland did. Jarrett did. So you can actually tie that of you guys kind of destroyed wrestling. I know people might not think this is good. I'm just trying to make logical sense of it.
You're bringing up good points, though, by the way. Yeah.
Like, you guys destroyed wrestling, and now you're trying to take it back. No, we don't want you to. And this might babyface Jon Moxley. But I do think people would side with Cope because Cope's a good babyface and always garners a strong reaction. It's like, we don't want you to take this back. Look what you did with it in the first place. That's why we're here. We had to spend 20 years trying to rebuild it after what you did with it. So no, I'm not just giving up this title to you. I'm going to take you out. Again, the whole purpose of this thing was young guys building up. And it started kind of that way with Private Party, Daniel Garcia and everything. But then they broke off into other stuff. And now I don't know when we're going to see Private Party again. At least Daniel Garcia is having matches and everything. But like young guys stepping up is what needs to happen. The old guys stepping up is fine if you connect it to what Moxley said here about inheriting a wasteland, a wrestling wasteland of this generation. Moxley also talked about when AEW started, it was for the wrestlers, by the wrestlers, and we're one mistake away from it going back to how it was. Again, you can tie this to the stuff that's on television. They just haven't done it. Instead, we're getting kind of chicken shit heel Jon Moxley, and I don't think that is very good.
I agree with excuse me, I agree with everything you just said. And also I agree with Who Likes Fig Shorts about Pac finally wore clothes last week. That was a big storyline development. I agree with that. That was Pac's. That's a long-term story since before AEW even existed, technically. Like the whole Pac being in Full Gear. The original Full Gear show was kind of based around that. It was supposed to be him and Hangman, and then Pac wound up not doing the show. Yeah, we can move on. Oh, sorry, go ahead. If you have more.
Who Like Face Source also says, I think Cope is a decent name for a Grand Slam match. Then back to AEW guys. I don't think that Cope and Moxley's Grand Slam. I think that's Revolution. I think you're probably getting Moxley and Jay White at Grand Slam. You know, we had Jay White beating Wheeler Yuta. They're doing the Mid-South street fight on Collision with Yuta Moxley against FTR. I don't want to spoil anything, but take one guess at who takes the pinfall in that match. Yeah, I think we're getting Jay White though at Grand Slam. Maybe it is, Henry saying maybe it's an 8-man tag at Grand Slam. Like that's possible as well. Cope, Jay White, FTR against Pac, Claudio, Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. Like that's a possibility as well. But I don't think you're getting Cope and Moxley at Grand Slam, especially because that's not a pay-per-view. It's just gonna air on a tape delay after NBA All-Star Weekend. Like I don't think they're going to do a big Jon Moxley title defense against Cope, which they see as a big match, whether right or wrong. They see this as a big match. So I don't think they're just going to do it on a 12-hour tape delay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, we can move on to other.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Mance Warner's in TNA. That was a pretty big surprise at the live TNA show this past week from now. Yeah, Mance Warner. Steph DeLander came out and said, I won the TNA digital media title in the divorce. Good little pivot there. Good little way to get around things. And then Mance showed up and he attacked Sami Callihan. This is good for Mance, dude. Like, he is a TV-ready wrestler, and he is different than a lot of other guys you're going to see on television. And I think he's going to do very well if they, if they promote him and if they push him well.
Yeah. Well, I think they're giving him a good chance to succeed right off the bat because, like you said, based on the storyline and everything, it makes sense that Steph DeLander would have the digital media championship and that she would have won it in the divorce because we had seen her romantically tied to PCO on TNA. And obviously PCO just attempted to destroy the digital media championship at GCW Hammerstein. And I know that him and Sean had an interview for Fightful. If you want to check that out, to get more insight onto PCO's mindset during all that. But they're giving Mance a real chance to succeed right off the bat because in real life, if y'all don't know, Steph DeLander and Mance Warner are an item. So it makes sense that they'd be together on the show for TNA. Mance Warner did just lose the GCW World Championship to Effy at the People vs. GCW at Hammerstein. So, Mance has been, for years, he's a part of MLW. He's obviously grinded the indie scene for a very long time now and become a top guy pretty much everywhere he competes on a regular basis. And they're giving him a good chance to succeed once again with TNA because if his first feud is going to be Sami Callihan, I'd imagine it's going to be like, a hardcore Monsters Ball type, match between those two that we'll eventually get. And that's where both guys really thrive. Like Sami Callihan's bread and butter. Like people can have whatever opinions they want on Sami Callihan as far as like, he's been in TNA forever and he's been the champion and this and that. But like one thing that Sami Callihan consistently does really well, in my opinion, is when there's a big match and it has some sort of hardcore stipulation, Callihan always has good matches in those environments, and Mance does as well. So like I think the two of them will have a really good match with one another once it goes down. So yeah, I'm very happy to see Mance. I was kind of bummed out he never got like a real opportunity in AEW. Like he wrestled Moxley like randomly on that one Collision or whatever it was. And
I think it was Rampage.
Rampage. But yeah, he's been, like you said, he's been TV ready for a long time. He's got a different type of look, a different type of vibe about him, different type of cadence in the way that he speaks and carries himself and stuff. And him and SDL as an item on screen works really well too. They were, a pair and part of a faction in GCW Deathmatch Royalty, and so they work well on camera with one another, and they have good chemistry, obviously off camera. So, yeah, this is a big W, I think, for Mance Warner and STL and TNA for Mance being involved, and also a smart and like actually realistic, if you want to call it that, pivot for why STL would have the Digital Media Championship that PCO tried to destroy. All makes sense.
I do think that Mance was possibly TNA bound before GCW at Hammerstein.
You're probably right.
I listened to him speak to Sam Roberts and an interview recorded before Hammerstein, and he talked about, I've kind of done all I can do on the indies. Like, I think I'm ready for that next step. And he mentioned TNA, he mentioned WWE. So it does, like, however, if this was the pivot because of the stuff that PCO did, I don't know if they had other plans for him. Maybe he was going to feud with PCO over the TNA Digital Media Championship because of the Steph DeLander connection there, and then they decided to go with this. Not sure, but based on that interview, it sounded like he was possibly TNA bound before everything went down at GCW.
See, he's one. It's another long shot, but like I'd love to see him randomly appear in the Royal Rumble. Like, like he's somebody that, like, whether or not he appears on the Rumble, I think that Mance Warner is a really solid character, and once again, he's different than anyone else. So like, I think he would thrive in the WWE, for instance, and it's more seamless and possible than ever if you're contracted to TNA right now with a relationship with the WWE. If they like you, they're going to probably try to do something with you on the WWE show if they can. So like, I think this move I think is going to be very, very big for Mance's career, because I think ultimately he will wind up in the WWE, and he's such a strong character and once again so unique that I think he would thrive in the WWE system. I think he'd do really well there.
Yeah, I don't know what the plans are for him. I don't think we're going to see him in the Royal Rumble, but I do hope that he does well.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it too. For the Rumble, but obviously, just since it is Rumble season, I'll just throw it out there. I would like to see Mance Warner in the WWE at some point for sure.
And then the other spotlight, Josh Alexander has quit TNA, although he will be wrestling tonight on TNA. He is a free agent, February 15th to be exact. I don't think let me double check their schedule. So they have this week taped. They have next week taped. I think next week is his final match. I think next week is it might be the week after, depending on their schedule, but he does have sort of, I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, their next tapings aren't until February 20th. So yes, he would theoretically be finished up. So it's probably 2 weeks is his final match.
Other topic?
That's what it is, Jensen.
What?
Josh Alexander.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still thinking about Mance Warner for a second there. Yeah, Josh Alexander quitting. So where do you think he lands, Josh Alexander? Because obviously he's going to have a lot of eyes on him in free agency, and I think he's smart to test free agency, by the way. Like, even if he wound up right back in TNA, which I don't expect, I think it's smart of him to find out what his market value is. But I also feel like he's, and this is just my process of elimination. I could be totally wrong. I feel like it's a good chance he'd wind up in AEW, because if you're already in TNA, you could kind of just like seamlessly wind up in WWE. If they're interested in you and you're already under contract, they can just let your contract run out, and then, well, which actually that's what they might just be doing, honestly. They might just let his contract run out in TNA, then immediately sign him to WWE like what they did with Jordan. So that's actually super possible. That's actually probably really likely that it happens. If I'm someone like Josh Alexander or Speedball Mike Bailey, for instance, is another good example. Like Speedball, we all heard signed with AEW months ago and still hasn't been seen on the show. Like if you're Josh Alexander, I don't think you want to get lost in the mix. Like I think unless you're like a super, super well established like worldwide name in wrestling, like an Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever, like someone who has like a lot of WWE exposure, I don't think that it's the smartest idea personally to sign with AEW right now because they have so many people on their roster that just don't get used. So like, I think, like I know Deonna Purrazzo recently kind of, vented some frustration about that as well. Like, I mean, like there's a lot of people on that roster that are in that position, and Deonna was a belt collector in TNA. She was, she's one of the top women wrestlers in the world and just doesn't get used anymore. So it's like, I feel like the same kind of thing would probably happen to Josh Alexander if he signed with AEW. So as a fan of his, I hope he winds up in the WWE. I think he could go to like NXT and like immediately be like a top guy there. And even if you wind up on the main roster, he has enough experience to where like he'd do fine there. They just have to, have the right story and everything for him.
I don't think he's going to AEW because I don't know where he fits in AEW. He obviously fits with his wrestling, but they got so many guys as it is. And you mentioned Speedball Mike Bailey, who is reportedly signed with AEW and hasn't debuted yet. And who knows when he will debut, because where does he play in with what they have going on? I'd worry about that with Alexander as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd worry about him on the WWE main roster. And I don't think he's going to WWE main roster if he does sign with WWE. I keep talking about NXT, but they need some talent in that men's division. That men's division is so bare right now that a guy like Josh Alexander can come in there and be an immediate main event guy for them. And then he can just establish himself. I know he's established in TNA, but establish himself to the WWE audience, get over there. And then once there might be an opening on the main roster, come up there, because right now, the WWE main roster, there ain't a whole lot of openings either. But him and NXT, the NXT is so hurting on this men's side for talent that they've got Austin Theory and Grayson Waller filling main event slots. And like they're doing nothing on WWE main roster and haven't done anything for the majority of the year. But all of a sudden they're in the NXT world title picture because they don't really got anybody else. So Josh Alexander could easily come in there and be a main event guy in NXT.
Yep, completely agree. Get to the indie spotlights. This is the last week, by the way, that I'll have like the hard out to clock in for the shoot job. Even though I feel like death right now, I am going to work after this. So, but I got about 5 minutes before I got to clock in for the shoot job. So let's go to the indies.
I'm going to give a big motherfucking shout out.
Do you like eggs?
So what Jeremy's alluding to is there was Effy's first GCW World Championship defense was against Cara Noir, and this took place over in the UK, where Jimmy Lloyd, from my understanding, is still stuck. I heard that he lost his passport multiple times and he's still stuck in the UK, which is hilarious. That's the most Jimmy Lloyd thing of all time. For those of you not familiar with Noir, very flamboyant, great entrance, super, super over, been around a while. And this was, in a lot of circles, this was a very big dream match between Cara and Effy that went down for the championship. Big kind of talking point, and a lot of the stuff that people are kind of, I guess, discussing coming out of the match was the egg spot. That's what Jeremy is alluding to. Now, I don't know what the hell is in that egg, like what that actually is, that yellow gunk, whatever that is. The yolk, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But essentially what wound up happening is Cara's got this egg in their hand. Effy keeps hits like a blockbuster, hits a spear and stuff. Cara isn't letting go of the egg. Eventually, Cara drops it, and you realize it's a fake egg. And then the next thing you know, Cara's got the real egg. Cara cracks it in their mouth. And then literally baby birds this nasty, just bile-looking yolk into Effy's mouth. And then Effy baby birds it back into Cara's mouth before hitting a pump kick in the sack rider to retain the GCW championship. I'll say this. I don't care what the substance is. That stuff grosses me out. Doesn't matter. Y'all know I love Effy. And I'm not as familiar with Cara, but I'm obviously have seen them wrestle. And I was familiar with this whole egg thing, and I was expecting it to happen. But it's so nasty to see it. But that's the whole point, right? Like, that's literally what they're going for. They're going for the shock value and something like that. And the only downside to that is I feel like that spot has overshadowed what otherwise like was a really solid match between those two. And it's a spot you expect to see Cara do. But if that was the first time you've seen Cara, I totally get why fans are like, that's gross. Because like I said, if someone spit into my mouth, no matter what it was, like it makes me sick just thinking about it. So I'll never forget on the Opie and Anthony show. Yeah, people, I won't even go into what happened, but if people know, there was an infamous segment during the O&A show. It still makes me sick to even think about, where they basically made somebody like chug eggnog and then throw up into someone else's mouth. And it was the most puke I've ever seen in my life. And that's like what reminded me of this. I got flashbacks to that. So yeah, it was gross, but I still love Cara. I still love Effy. Like, you know, it's not like it just unfortunate that spot kind of overshadowed what otherwise was a really good match between those two.
What is this Opie and Anthony spot?
You're going to have to find it.
I'm not going to do that at all.
Yeah, they literally made someone chug like a gallon of eggnog or something, and they had a guy laying on a table backwards, and the dude who chugged literally bent over this dude and just puked like a gallon of eggnog into this guy's face. It's like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I remember it so well because like Joe Rogan was in studio that episode, and he brings it up on his podcast still sometimes.
All right, I'm going to be sick now.
Yeah, anyway, the last thing I've got here, the last indie spotlight before I clock in for my shoot job. On a lighter note, we have a new TWE heavyweight champion. Essentially what happened is the longtime reigning champion, Darian Begston, who we've had on the show in the past, he wound up having to vacate the TWE championship, the undisputed title. I'm not exactly sure why. I can't remember. I think it was like a personal thing or an illness or something, but he wound up having to let go of the championship. So they had a one-night tournament at TWE. Everything has changed on independentwrestling.tv. Use code Fight Talk over there on IWTV. I appreciate that. But they did a one-night tournament. The two matches for the tournament was Big Dave defeated Erron Wade, and then Shug D defeated Jamison Shook. So the finals was Big Dave versus Shug D. Big Dave wound up defeating Shug D with the Spirit of 99, which is his version of a lariat. And he pinned Shug D to become the new TWE heavyweight champion. Excuse me. Right after the match, while Big Dave was celebrating, and Big Dave obviously part of KOBK, so shout out to our homie Moe's, that whole KOBK crew. We also saw the return of Brett Eisen at TWE this weekend, which was very, very great to see. Big Dave wins the title, and immediately after the match, Action Wrestling champion Tim Bosby comes out, and he F5s new champion Big Dave over and over again. Dylan Hales enters the ring, and Dylan Hales' last act as matchmaker for TWE, he says, Erron Wade, come on out. You got a title shot against Big Dave right now. Erron Wade walks out to the ring, puts one foot on Big Dave after the attack from Bosby. 1, 2, 3. That's all Erron Wade does. Just puts one foot on him. Erron Wade is your new TWE heavyweight champion. So shout out and congratulations to Erron Wade, the guy who's been working a long time. Pretty much everyone I just mentioned during that whole thing has been on the spotlight at one point or another. So if you want to know more about all those talents, just go back to previous episodes of the show. We've interviewed pretty much everyone that I just mentioned, and including Erron Wade. So yeah, congratulations to Erron. And yeah, he's been putting years and years and years in, and he's become very over as a villain in TWE in the Southeast, and not just in TWE in the Southeast, but like other promotions as well. Like he's gotten really over in like ICW, NHB, for instance, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm happy to see the hard work pay off. I was happy to see Big Dave win the title because it was kind of out of nowhere, because Big Dave is still, Big Dave's only been wrestling probably the last, I mean, it can't be more than like the last 2 years. I feel like he's new, but he's been doing really well. So that's all I've got. I am feeling terrible. Thank you everyone for bearing with me this episode. Ryan Adams with the last super chat here. Over under 30 minutes. Triple H Hall of Fame. We didn't even mention that. Congratulations to Triple H going into the Hall of Fame as his own, for his own company. And But you know, it's cool. He deserves more than being just in there with DX. Obviously, he deserves his own induction, so it makes sense. And also, Skull Vikings, Ryan. Love seeing Vikings fans here in the chat. If you want more from me, follow me on X at @FightTalk_. Use code FightTalk on IndependentWrestling.tv. Check out the Fightful Select Weekender podcast every Sunday, sometimes Mondays, over on FightfulSelect.com. I cover the indies. And next week, the show is going to be moving permanently. Same channel, same day, Thursdays. It's just going to be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time going forward. So I won't have the hard out of having to go into work anymore. And it should make for a better show, I think, overall. We're going to try to have some live guests on more often because we obviously don't expect people to join us that often at 8:39 in the morning, although Cole Radrick is the homie and does that for us sometimes. I'm glad I made it through the show, though. Thank you for bullying me into being on camera, everybody. Good seeing you here.
Please take care of yourself.
I'm about to tell my boss right now, I'm going to be like, I feel terrible. I'm going to work, but
he's going to respond back like, I heard you did a wrestling podcast for an hour and a half, so you can't feel that bad.
They all know. They're probably watching right now. I'll see y'all in a couple minutes, everyone at work. See you, Jeremy. Go ahead and prop up this interview, and I hope you guys enjoy this interview you're about to hear. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and explain who we interviewed.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna.
Well, sorry, I'm gonna exit out. I need to leave. All right, see you guys.
All right, bye. We interviewed Cody Lane, who people may know from the independent scene. He had a big match recently against Ricky Starks, and Ricky Starks' return to the independent scene. He's the Crown of Glory champion. He's one half of the freelance tag team champions with Dan the Dad, who's been on the show previously, and he's the A1 Zero Gravity champion. So Cody's been around for a little while on the independent scene in the St. Louis area mostly, but he's gone up to Canada. He's from Texas, so if you're not familiar with Cody, you'll learn a lot about him in this interview. Really fun interview. Did about 45 minutes or so with Cody. So here we go in the creator spotlight, Cody Lane.
Welcome to the creator spotlight here on the Spotlight on Fightful. I am Stephen Jensen, joined as always by Jeremy Lambert. And our guest today is one half of the freelance world tag team champions, a part of Home Cooking along with Dan the Dad, also the A1 Zero Gravity champion and Glory Pro, Crown of Glory World Champion. Our guest today is Cody Coco Lane. Cody, how you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
What's going on, y'all? How are y'all?
Doing good.
Doing great. Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, of course.
Hell yeah. Well, there's a whole lot of questions we got for you, and I think it's easiest probably just to start off with your big Glory Pro Crown of Glory Championship win. Recently became the champion there. What was it like defeating Warhorse? I know you have a long history with him. And what's it like being like the face of Glory Pro? One of my favorite indie promotions in the entire world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty crazy because like when I lived in Texas for my first few years of wrestling, I was always trying to get up to the Midwest because that was like the spot to be. So I was really trying hard to get like on St. Louis Anarchy and Glory Pro. And I started getting booked like more and more once I moved up in St. Louis in like 2019. So it's really crazy from like 2018, kind of when Glory Pro started, then to be the champion now. It's like really crazy.
Yes, I actually I used to live in Nashville. I currently live in Atlanta, but years back when I lived in Nashville, I used to make trips, like day-long trips, like 5 hours there, 5 hours back from Nashville to the St. Louis area to watch those early Glory Pro shows.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the company instantly. And I'm going to ask you quite a few questions about Glory Pro, but what's it been like kind of growing in front of that audience and becoming such such a star of that promotion? Because there's a lot I want to get to, but like, for instance, you were a part of the first main event of Ascend, for instance, against Ray Phoenix. Like you guys, they've really like put a lot of investment in you. It feels like over the last couple of years. And what's it been like just kind of growing with that promotion?
It's crazy because after the pandemic, everything was shut down for so long. So 2021, when it started coming back like more full time, that was like kind of like for me like the restart of Glory Pro because like other people took over it and everything after that, like officially. So from that first show, like February of like 2021, for like not as big as the crowd and for it to grow to where it is now, and then getting to wrestle all the people I have, it's like I wouldn't have thought of it. I was just trying to get booked on the pre-show.
Well, you're doing much more than that. Not to put down people on the pre-show, of course, but obviously you want to be the main event, you want to be the world champion. So
sure.
Good spot to be in. What's it been like with the management changes and everything? Because, like, I mean, once again, I remember Glory Pro when it was run by Michael Elgin. Obviously, there was controversy there. And Dan the Dad, who I'm going to also ask you about, obviously, I remember him back when he was the millennial Danny Adams, and these guys were training. They were trainees, and at like a very young age with very little experience, Kevin Lee Davidson, KLD, and Danny Adams had to like basically take that ball and run with it and promote Glory Pro. I know KLD has dropped off in recent years. I mean, I know he's still active, but I don't think he's behind the scenes of the Glory Pro anymore. But what's it been like with the management changes and kind of what's the vibe right now with the company?
Oh, it's great. Like, you know, Dan rules. So he makes it a fun environment in the back. And since he's still like an active wrestler, we all like to be in like comfortable locker rooms. Everyone's like friendly with everybody. There's no dickheads, to be honest, in that locker room. Like, it's pretty fun to get to go there and wrestle.
I was going to transition into a comment about Ricky Starks, because the way you set that up, and there's no bad people in the locker room. I love Ricky. Ricky is I don't know if he's a friend, but we have a good relationship with everything. So what was it like working with Ricky and kind of being chosen for that spot?
Oh yeah, he's also, me and Ricky have known each other for like 9 years. We come from the same training school down in Austin, Texas. So I've known him probably since like 2015, I think. So it's been pretty cool to watch where he's come to just like rise to what he's done. And then on how all that conversation started on getting to wrestle him, like it's crazy how all that like built up to that, you know. And it was pretty fun because since we've known each other, I knew he was kind of going through a hard time and get to be like his first wrestling match back. It's like, you know, pretty cool moment for both of us.
Yeah, it was really cool to see online when he showed up, and then, you know, he again basically chose you after delivering this spear to Sean Logan, who has been on the show in the past. So it was a cool kind of worlds collide thing. I was going to try to get you to bury Ricky, but he'll hear this and then he'll.
Yeah, he's an asshole too. Don't I'll add that to it.
We love Ricky. I wish him the best. Would like to see him on television a whole lot more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully soon. I don't know.
Everything felt good wrestling him, though, being in a pretty big spot with he hadn't wrestled in a while. I didn't know how much ring time he'd been given, though, but like he was happy with the match afterwards. Good conversation afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he said he was like glad to do it, and that made me feel good because I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure, you know, the match is going to be good since he hasn't wrestled, I think, since February of last year. So pretty big moment for him to come back and do that. But he was happy to do it, and there's a ring down in Austin, so I know he's always like rolling around and training there. So you don't think he didn't miss a beat.
Another big moment, as I mentioned a few times, the new Crown of Glory champion. What's your relationship like with Warhorse, Jake Parnell? Because like I said, I know you guys have a history with one another. You had a big cage match like in 2023 that I feel like kind of played full circle and came back around when he won the championship recently. What are your thoughts on once again another one of those guys? I remember him when he was the littlest Viking, Jake Parnell. Like I remember these guys when they were in their infancy in their careers, and now same with you. I mean, you've been around for like the better part of a decade now yourself. So it's cool to see how you guys have all grown. And what's your relationship been like with Warhorse?
You know, besides all that, you know, us wrestling each other and everything in Glory, it's been great. Like he's been such a good dude. And it's funny enough, the first time I met him, this was like, so I used to have an old name named Cody Crash. Very, very lame. It was like my first year into wrestling. So, but I got to go and wrestle for this company called Proving Ground Pro in Illinois. And the guy I wrestled, he went to go throw me at the merch table, and he said, mess up those DVDs, and those were Warhorse's DVDs. And I flew myself on the table, and he got mad and picked it up and threw it on top of me. So that was our first meeting. So it's been a love-hate ever since then.
Oh, that's too funny. Also, we mentioned at the top of the show, multiple titles that you're holding right now. You got the Freelance World Tag Team Championships right now with Dan the Dad. What's your relationship like with him? Because I love you guys teaming with one another, and as I mentioned before, I'm a longtime fan of his as well. So yeah, it's been cool seeing you guys grow as a team, but also it's cool been seeing you kind of be able to do your own thing individually, kind of parallel to that. But what's it been like being a part of Home Cooking and your relationship with Dan the Dad?
It's great, man. I've known Dan, like me and him kind of clicked as soon as I moved up here, because we were both doing Alpha One a bunch. So we were always traveling together, like by ourselves, like 11 hours up there. So we really got to like do a lot of bonding. And then we always liked wrestling each other when we did. And then we started tagging, I think, a couple times at Glory, and then just kind of snowballed from there. So we kind of just wanted to start tagging at other promotions.
How'd you really like get started into wrestling? First off, like training, and then second, as kind of a follow up or a go with, just as a fan, like what hooked you possibly growing up?
Yeah, so I was like 9 years old, and my best friend at that time, who got me into wrestling, he showed me a VHS tape of Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. And yeah, pretty good introduction, not bad. And and then ever since then, he was like, "Oh yeah, there's this thing on Monday nights called Raw," and then I just started watching that, and then I fell more in love with TNA as like a couple years got into it, around like 07, 08. So that really kicked off to where I wanted to do it. And then when I turned about 14, getting really into like Edge and Shawn Michaels, those two guys were kind of my two favorites. I was like, okay, I'm just going to dedicate to doing that. So as soon as I graduated high school, I moved from Oklahoma to Austin and started training.
And like, who were your trainers, and were there any other people that you trained with? I know you mentioned like Ricky Starks, like from like a similar area and stuff. But did you have any other like notable trainees at the same time?
So ACH was there for a little while, and I trained under him for a few years. He kind of took me on the road and kind of taught me, a little bit more how wrestling works, So I learned how to bump at my school, and then he learned me how to like actually wrestle. So, so yeah, he was good. And then another guy named Jojo Bravo. He's awesome. I don't know. He's a Texas wrestler. So him, Jojo, and Ricky, those were kind of like the three guys who really helped me out a lot.
We never know if cage match is accurate or not because it's sometimes a bit all over the place. But was your first match actually at TCW in a tag team match, you and Richard Reason versus the Lost Souls?
No.
Okay.
I wrestled a guy. So February 21st will be my 10 years this year. So I wrestled a guy named Quentin Lynch in an old auto body shop in February in Austin. So that was my first match.
Please tell us more about that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I started training. I trained in a pretty much just a tin building. It was just an old auto body parts spot. And then I remember the day we moved in, so we had to like cut all like the metal shit that was like in the concrete. So we had to do a lot of manual labor just to get in that spot. But my first 2 months of training were actually not in a ring. They were in a baseball field, like at a park. So if you ever have Lainey Luck on, if you ever talk to her, me and her are from the same spot.
Okay.
And we started the exact same day. So we either lost the building or got evicted in that first building. So first day was taking down the ring because we got kicked out. And then I learned how to do like a headlock takeover on the diamond plate in a baseball field. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you were... So I'm hearing this correctly. You were literally training on the actual field with no ring.
Yeah, no ring. We learned how to run the ropes with no ring. We would just like each other off and take like 3 steps and turn.
What was like bumping on that?
We didn't bump. We would do like little front rolls and quarter rolls, but like that was it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, those trainers, they were a little bit older, so they had to do a lot of improvising when they lost that building. So it's crazy.
Now, is an auto parts shop the weirdest place you've ever wrestled, or is there something beyond that was even kind of stranger than that?
I mean, I've wrestled in like people's front yards. Like there's backyard wrestling. I've wrestled in front yards. I wrestled in like a old like bull ring, it's got like the dirt and everything on it.
Yeah.
So like the ring was right there and it was like abandoned. That was all there was. There was no other like pins or anything. It was just that old metal circle. So we wrestled in there and I got paid like 75 cents in gas that time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I know eventually, probably years in, because once again, cage match isn't accurate, but like, what was it like when you first started getting calls to work SLA at St. Louis Anarchy?
Yeah, so my first trip up there was Ricky Starkland helped me get on there. So I drove up with them to Missouri, And then Matt Jackson threw me in a 6-man tag, and he liked my stuff, and like that's how it kind of snowballed to like Proving Ground because those promoters were there. So then every once in a while they both wanted me up there, and I'd make a weekend out of it and go up by myself most of the time.
Okay. And were you Cody Lane at that point, or were you under a previous alias at that point?
I was under Cody Crash a couple times at Anarchy, like my first 1 or 2, and then I switched the name.
What was the reasoning behind the name switch?
Oh man, they told me it sucked, so I was like, yeah, you're right, it does suck.
Oh man, because you really and now once again, cage match isn't accurate. Did you? It says Will Wrestle, Lane Summers, Cody Crash, Cute Cody. Like, are these all accurate previous renames?
So yes and no. So Cody Crash is real. Cody Lane's real. When I started traveling out to Canada a lot in like 2017, for this place called Canada's Wrestling Elite, it was like a touring company. So I would wrestle like 21 days in a row, like every single day. And it was just like from town after town. It was kind of like just like the old days of traveling, which was pretty cool. So there's this guy, me and him were a tag team up there, and he did like a very flamboyant gimmick. And he just decided to give me that moniker, and I was like, whatever. So like I never acknowledged that, like the cute Cody Lane. And then Lane Summers, AEW kept like messing up my name when they would put me in those matches. So
gotcha.
Yeah, because Summers is my last name. So they were like, you're gonna be that. And I was like, that's not, no one knows me by that. And they were just like, oh well. They'll figure it out.
What? How about I know Jensen mentioned Will Wrestle.
Yeah, so I did that. You know, Old Wrestling up in Detroit.
Yes.
I did Will Wrestle there. I pitched it to Ricky Shane Page, who's really good friends with the promoter, Justin Knott, and he rules. So they were down for it. I went to like Muncie, Indiana, and then that's where I debuted Will Wrestle.
What was RSP's name in that promotion? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Judge Hugo.
That was it. I was like, I knew it was something strange like that. And I remember him doing that while he was the reigning GCW World Champion, on like during like the Collective or something. And I was like, this is completely different than what I'm used to seeing in GCW. So
in Thursday, during WrestleMania weekend where he wrestled Nick Gage, that Thursday of the kickoff, Will Wrestle and Judge Hugo wrestled each other. And then that death match against Nick Gage.
You did. You're the match I'm thinking of. That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
I forget about that match until people bring it up, and I always laugh. It was so funny that we did that.
Oh my goodness. We also, obviously we mentioned at the top of the show, you're currently the A1 Zero Gravity champion as well.
Oh yeah.
What's it been like going up to Canada, working for Alpha One, Ethan Page, that whole crew up there, and being a big representative of that company as their 01 champion? Or sorry, Zero Gravity champion.
So yeah, it's like similar, the same thing to St. Louis Anarchy. I really wanted to get up into Canada more after I kind of stopped doing those tours. So I met a friend named Shane Saber, and he put me in contact with Ethan Page, and he booked me like 2018 in like a scramble match. So, and I was just like fell in love with like Toronto and Canada and wrestling for A1 because that crowd's like awesome. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm moving to St. Louis and I'm going to try to wrestle up there. But funny story, 3 weeks before I was supposed to like debut for Alpha One, I dislocated my elbow. So if you ever go back and watch that match, like 2018 or like February, I just have like this huge black brace on my arm. It's like not moving. So like I had to wrap it as tight as I could because I was like not missing that show.
How did you break your elbow?
Some guy in Louisiana picked me up for like a brain buster, and instead of like falling back, he just like went just like dropped me, and it was either like land on my head or like put my arm out in front of me, and then just like popped right out. Yeah,
gnarly.
Yeah, and they put me in an ambulance and like drove me like 10 minutes down the street to a emergency room. Yeah, it was bad, but oh well. I got to wrestle. I said,
yes.
Wrestle.
I say, still wrestled through it. Still wrestled through it.
Will wrestle and still wrestle.
Yes, Will Wrestle never opts to not wrestle. Oh man.
Tell me about your sentons because it's sweet looking.
Oh, thank you.
That's all. It's not really a question. I guess tell me about it. But like, you do a really good like senton. I know you did the one, kind of the springboard one over against Shane Mercer in the latest match. Yeah. But just the other ones as well. I do one like off the top rope and then just going on the ring apron, jumping outside. Like, so just your sentons, like it looks really good.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like when I started wrestling, I wasn't a fan of like the senton move. I was just like, whatever. And then I saw Chris Hero doing them, and he would get really high and jump, like, and I thought those were beautiful. And I was like, wow, I got to kind of start, like, not emulating that, but I was like, okay, he makes it look really cool, and it looks devastating. So I'm gonna try to do that and kind of make it my own. So that's why I started kind of doing it from the outside, doing the top rope one, and just all these different variations.
What about some of your other moves? Because I've been saying this a lot lately because it's been kind of like a talking point in the wrestling community. Like if it's cringe or not to say someone has a cool move set, like the word move set has like become weird almost. But I think you have a sweet move set. You have some really innovative moves. And Jeremy mentioned the senton. I've never seen anyone else do like the electric chair into the tombstone the way that you do. I don't think I've ever seen someone do a full Nelson big swing the way you do. Even your lion salt, the one-legged off the top rope is like, it's unique. How did you come up with this stuff?
You know, a lot of like, thankfully I got like friends who are smaller, so they're my guinea pigs when we go to like the training ring. So like, and they trust me and they're down. So like that's how we Ethan Price is one of my really good friends in wrestling, and me and him are always trying to like come up with something together. But as soon as we like the electric chair tombstone, I said that jokingly, and then I was like, maybe it can be done. So we just started doing it.
So, and then, sorry. I was just asking like how much practice goes into that, like before you actually execute it in the ring, or if everyone just trusts that you can land it, one shot, first try.
So the first time I did it was to Ethan Price. And we practiced that day of, because we joked about it that day. We were like, why not? And then every time if I asked to, like, if I pitch it, we always, make sure it's not dangerous or anything.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have more to elaborate on as far as like coming up with those moves?
No, no, but I was going to say about the one-legged moonsault. This was during COVID when we were all just like, that's all we had to do was like train in a ring. So since there was no shows. So I was getting really like trying to do like jump to the top rope with both feet. And then Dan the Dad suggested I only do it with one foot because no one else does it. And then we practiced that for like weeks until I got it down. So Dan the Dad is thanks for that move.
Is there anything that you've come up with that you've tried and it's like, oh, don't know if we're going to be able to do this during match? Or is there anything you've come up with that you haven't quite pitched yet, but it's kind of be bouncing around of like, one day I'm going to possibly break this out?
So the electric chair tombstone, after I gave it to like a close friend, like, since we trust each other. But when you meet other people that you've never met before and you say, hey, can I pick you on my shoulders and then flip you on your head? So, that one was like the weirdest one to pitch to people because like they don't understand it. Like at first, like visually, they don't see what I mean. So every now and then I got to show them a video and see like, hey, it's not too crazy.
I got kind of a random question that kind of goes along with you as, whatever you want to call yourself, Coco, Southern Flamingo, whatever you want to go by. Where do you shop at? Like, where do you get, like, how do you come up with like your gear and stuff? Because you have like a super unique look.
So my wife helped me. She's a seamstress, so she helps design all my gear. So all the really cool shit that you guys see, like that's all her. So I'll pitch an idea and she'll make it better.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that's super convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have sorry, just to follow up on that, it shows if somebody has like a wardrobe issue, it's like, oh, Cody's wife, they got you. Does she run around at shows helping people out sometimes in a pinch?
Right now, she's my private seamstress. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we just outed something. Now people are going to read it or hear this and be like, oh, you know what? Cody's wife might be able to help you out.
How did you develop kind of the whole current persona that you have. Because it's not just the look and the clothes, which once again I think are very unique and really help you stand out, but it's also the way you cut promos, vignettes, and those kind of things. Sugar, the way that you speak, everything just you're very unique, and I think that's a very important thing in professional wrestling. Like, how did you kind of formulate the entire character of Cody Lane?
Yeah, so right before the pandemic hit, I was kind of feeling just stagnant a lot. And my last match for everything shut down was against Rohit Raju. So during that match, I really just felt like not like myself. I was like, what I'm doing now, I just feel like I'm just like a plain looking guy, just trunks and that's it. So everything shut down. You got time to think about stuff. And like for years, everyone tell me just to be myself, which is just, a very loud redneck who says crazy shit a bunch. So, all those things that I say, like, either I learned it from my uncle or my grandpa. So like all of it's from from that place, And then my wife as well, she started helping me like come up with the character and stuff like that, because she's really big into like, she's the one who showed me like what a nudie suit is, what I wear today. So yeah, a lot of brainstorming. So when I came back, I used to wear like a crust punk, like really like Southern religious looking like crust punk jacket. So that's the start of it all. It was right there.
What was kind of COVID like in the pandemic like for you? You mentioned like you were able to sort of work on your character, but how did you like say mentally like well during that? Because I think for all of us, like it was a tough time mentally for a lot of people, but like how did you just kind of manage to almost bide your time and just wait for things to recover, and then where you could go back out and show everything that you'd been working on?
Yeah, honestly, like at first it was tough. It's kind of, jarring, obviously, like you can't go nowhere and everything's just literally shut down. Like, you're just kind of stuck. So then, we watched, started wanting to develop the character around like April, May-ish. And then we watched a lot of stuff to grab ideas, a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good.
That's Jeremy's world. That is Jeremy's
Yes.
world. Yeah, he's all about it.
Yeah. So I love it. It's awesome. And then, I was really wanting to get into promos in that character. And during that time, people like Warhorse and Effie and Dan House, and they were posting those really cool promos. So I was like, that kind of gave me motivation to kind of create something myself. That's me.
All right. Now let's talk some RuPaul's Drag Race. Who are some of your favorites?
I love Ginger Minge.
Okay.
Trixie Mattel. And then Bianca Del Rio. Those are mine.
Oh,
yeah.
That's my absolute favorite, Bianca Del Rio. I've seen her live. So fantastic.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just
I'm gonna look them up. You said Bianca Del Rio?
Yeah.
Okay.
The way she just like cuts into people, like the wit and everything, it's so good. Yeah. One of my favorite things is during her season, she's like, "Let me ask you a question. What do you do well?" And it's like 5 seconds. Go. Let me know. But yeah, she can read people, as they say on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Anybody who takes inspiration from RuPaul's Drag Race, that's a good show to take inspiration from. Anybody else?
It's phenomenal. We see a bunch of cool stuff, and I was like, wow, we can see if we can recreate something like that, or take, inspiration for anything.
Yeah.
And also, any other nasty bitches on that show, so you might
you get some promo tips from them. They'll tell you you'll learn how to cut people with
you'll
some
watch the beats of how they cut promos, and you're like, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. Any other shows or music or just anything whether you take inspiration from or that you like to just kind of watch and kind of downtime with?
Yeah, for inspiration wise, I like to, sometimes I'll listen to like really old hyped up like Southern bluegrass, and then Miranda Lambert. It's like a mix of like random stuff. Like I don't necessarily like those songs that much, but listening to them, I kind of start like kind of mixing my character into that and everything. And also leisurely, we like watching a lot of the game shows, and then Righteous Gemstones is also a good one to kind of grab some inspiration from.
Very good show. Another fantastic show.
What type of game shows?
Man, we like The Traders. That's a good one.
Let's fucking go. All right,
dude,
sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. It rules. I love Family Feud. That's my number one. You can't beat Family Feud.
Family
those
Feud
are the two. I just keep those on. I like Family Feud. Wheel of Fortune every now and then. You throw that in the mix. We're cool. So,
are you caught up on the new season of Traders?
I sure am.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna just cut Jensen out of this conversation here, and we're just gonna talk Traders here.
You're good.
For a second. Jensen, Nikki Bella is on the show. She's on the new season.
Yeah,
she's on the new season. I won't spoil anything about what happens to her and everybody else on the cast, but it's been a real
drag queen on this season too.
Bob the drag queen. Yes, Bob the drag queen rules. The scene with him and Boston Rob is like an all-time scene. Them two going back and forth at each other.
Dude, what a backstab. I hate Boston Rob. I despise Boston Rob.
I knew he was going to be trouble the moment he entered.
He looks sneaky.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of the challenge, and Wes from the challenge is on this season as well. He's playing a good game right now. Yeah. So,
no, it's great. It's gonna be awesome.
I remember Wes. That was back in my day from the OG Real World Road Rules challenges.
Yeah.
So I'm not as in the loop now. Although I watch Beast Games. I don't know if anyone watches that I'm the Mr. Beast show that they're doing on Amazon right now for the $5 million prize.
I catch like highlights of it. That looks pretty fun too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very it's like a mind fuck. I don't know how else to describe it. Like they're constantly just putting people in positions to have to like self-eliminate off the show to save other people. And then like the people that like there's been multiple, I won't ruin too much, but like there's been multiple people who have literally given up $1 million during the game for other people and then been eliminated by complete randomness like right afterwards. It's just like, yeah, it's wild. The amount of money they're throwing at these people, like, I'm not gonna lie. If somebody had anywhere near $100,000, like they were just like, "Hey, you take it, or you might get eliminated next round." I'm taking the money and bailing. Like, just I won something, and I'm out of here. You know, like that's how I would be playing. But you know,
I'd stop them at take it. I'm just like, you want? I'm like, yeah, just say left. I'll do it. I'll go.
yeah. But being a fan of game shows, I would recommend Beast Games. Like, it might not be for everybody, but it's 9 episodes. I think there's 7 episodes in, and all the new ones are on Thursday. So. There's going to be another one tomorrow or today at the time that this will actually be airing tomorrow on Thursday. So,
oh, cool. Okay.
Little recommendation there. What other stuff are you into outside of wrestling? Just like any other like hobbies or anything like you collect or anything like that?
So I don't really collect anything. I try to get into the Funko Pop world, and it's too hectic. Mm-hmm. So, but I have a lot. I have quite enough to restart that collection soon. But other than that, you know, me and my wife, we have 2 huskies, so they keep us busy. We like taking them on hikes. We like going to the movies and a bunch of old style movies and stuff like that. So pretty low key. I don't do nothing crazy. So I think wrestling's the craziest thing I do.
I like the dynamic because you, like in this conversation, you seem so not as, it's like you're different than the Cody Lane character that we see, you know? And I think that's it's interesting getting to know kind of more about you as a person. Like I know Jeremy had asked earlier, I don't know if we got an answer, but who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Oh yeah, so my top 3 were Edge, Shawn Michaels, and Jeff Hardy in WWE. But in TNA, it was AJ Styles and Abyss. Those two are my guys. Yeah.
What were you, a Monty Brown guy back in the day?
Yeah, Monty Brown was sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the tail into him when I started really getting into it. So, but yeah, he ruled.
What's it like seeing Jeff Jarrett, like still not only still out there, but like in the mix to potentially become the AEW World Champion in 2025?
It's mind blowing. I want to wrestle Jeff Jarrett. He's awesome. He's still going strong. He's not missing a beat at all. And without him, we wouldn't have TNA. So he's the man.
That's why I asked.
He's the man.
I mean, he did independent shots. He's done it throughout the years. I know he did AIW. I think it was last year he did AIW. So I wouldn't rule it out. Him making his way.
Ruling out. Hey, anything's possible in wrestling. Yeah, literally anything.
Do you have stuff on the docket for WrestleMania weekend, and then kind of a follow up to that? Like, what is your sort of either goal or plan for WrestleMania weekend? I know some people like to do basically what is the speedball run of let's have a dozen matches. And other people like to do, let me have 1 or 2 like really more standout matches.
Yeah, I'd love to do the speedball run. I think that stuff's like so impressive. Like, I want, those are like things you kind of want to do once in wrestling. Like, when I saw him in Dallas during Mania weekend, he had like 14 matches, and he was wrestling like Matt Riddle at noon and then Suzuki at 3 p.m. So it's just like an ass kicking after each. It's like you pretty much time me out an ass whooping each time you go out there. So like, yeah, that would be a cool goal to do. I might be out there, so still iffy right now. But yeah, that'd be a cool goal to kind of have 8 to 10 matches during the Mania weekend.
Do you have any like opponents in mind for either WrestleMania week or just like in general, like, you know, kind of like dream match scenarios, whether it be like on the independent scene or in like a major promotion?
Yeah, I think right now, unfortunately, I think he's injured right now, but Jake Something would be my top pick at the moment.
Have you never wrestled him?
Never wrestled. We tagged together. We tagged at Glory Pro a few times, and it was sick. So, and I've always like thought he was like a really badass wrestler. So I would love to do it.
That's really surprising to me that you've never wrestled him before.
Yeah, never have. Always been on the same side though.
Okay, well, we're gonna try to get this booked.
Yeah, let's do it.
So people who see this, let's make Cody Lane versus Jake Something happen. That is shocking that that's never happened. I mentioned at the top of the show that you were a part of the first main event of Glory Pro's Ascend series, which is available for free on their YouTube channel, and you wrestled Ray Phoenix on that show. Not only did you wrestle Ray Phoenix, who everyone knows as like, you know, one of the best high flyers in all of wrestling and just an overall great wrestler, he chopped the hell out of you. You had a bloody chester in that one. I mean, that was a hard-hitting back and forth match. What's it like wrestling a guy like Ray Phoenix? Not just wrestling him, but also, you know, getting that spot at the first main event of Ascend.
It was quite the treat to wrestle him. He was awesome. He made me feel welcomed, comfortable. He's no bad words. I would love to wrestle him again. Since that was 2 years ago or coming up on 2 years ago, I'd like to do it now since I feel like I'm a different wrestler than 2 years ago. So he was awesome. And then, you know, when that came out being like the first main event, I was like, okay, this is awesome to be part of like the kickoff to hopefully something really cool that gets a lot of eyes on Glory Pro.
Is Ray the person who's chopped you the hardest or hit you the hardest? And if not, who's kind of the hardest hitter you've been in there with?
Phoenix will get you. Warhorse is a hard chop. It's like a brick hitting you when Warhorse chops you. So I'd say those two guys. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, same circles. I mean, I'm assuming. Have you wrestled Gary J?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I wrestled him like my first 2 years in. That was my first experience ever being hit by like a grown adult.
That was the reason I brought him up, because he's one of the first guys I think of, especially out of that area, when I would think of someone who would just hit you super hard.
Yeah, he'll leave it, Mark. He's up there too. Yeah, he's that top 3 for sure.
Oh man, what are not just like dream matches, but like what are some of your future goals in wrestling? Like what do you think maybe like short term, you know, in the next like couple years, maybe some places you would want to go, some things you'd want to accomplish, or even long term goals?
Yeah, man. So short, like, you know, hopefully short term, long term. I would love to go back to Japan again because me and Dan, we wrestled there a couple years ago, and ever since then I've just been really trying to work hard and hopefully get a new promotion. I love Dragon Gate Pro Wrestling over there. That's like my number one, or DDT. Those would be really awesome places to work for. And then long term, I would love to get signed to the WWE. That'd be my number one goal that I've had.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, the question I ask anybody and everybody who's been to Japan: did you go to Ribera?
I did not go to Ribera.
Okay.
Surprise! I'm sorry. I know.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I ask everyone if they go to Ribera, and then I ask for a review if they have gone. So hey, you got to get back to Japan, not only to wrestle but to go to Ribera.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What are we mentioned WWE? What are your thoughts on this whole new Netflix era of Raw and all the popularity that WWE and pro wrestling has? I was actually at Raw this past Monday in Atlanta, and it was an awesome experience. The energy, I mean, it just feels like right now, just wrestling. I mean, me and Jeremy, and I'm sure you as well, Cody, we all, you know, grew up and everything through. We were fans in the 90s when it was like at its peak popularity, the Attitude Era and all that stuff. And now it's kind of got that same type of feeling right now across the wrestling board. And I feel like a lot of it's kind of culminating right now, or getting it to where it is because of this big like Netflix and Raw deal. So what's it look like from your perspective, seeing like what the WWE is doing right now?
I think it's awesome because I think about it when back in 2012, they they released like they were going to do the WWE Network. So at that time, as a fan, I was like, this is crazy. I'm going to have everything at my fingertips getting to watch it. And now it's the same feeling again, but it's on Netflix because everyone has Netflix. Even if it's not your account, you got Netflix. So everyone's going to be able to watch it. And that, I think, more eyes on WWE, people seek out indie wrestling, and I think it all grows from there.
And
do you have
go ahead.
So I was just asked like dream situation. Like, let's just say you wound up in the WWE and, you know, in the future, maybe the near future, like who would be some of the people like at the top, whether you feel like it's realistic or not, like who are some people you would like really want to get in there with in WWE?
Top two off my head would probably be Sheamus and Randy Orton. Those would be. I've always been a fan of Sheamus. I watched him when he very first debuted for WWE in like a dark match against Goldust in like 2009. And ever since then, I've been hooked on him. So he'd be my number one.
Another hard hitter.
I was about to say, you'll have a new hardest hitter after facing him.
yeah. We got to up it. We got to keep upping it from there.
I was going to ask about any thoughts on like the WWE ID program, and have you noticed, like, has there been any change to the independent scene that you've noticed since they've announced this program?
Not really, but I think that's just because it just started. So I think I don't know how it's ran. I don't know if they're like on a year contract or whatever, but I feel like it could be a continuing thing. So after that second round, I feel like things are going to start changing more because I feel like people are going to try to keep getting to the WWE ID. So I feel like everyone's going to like kind of work harder in my thoughts.
Do you think that the program overall has been like a net positive for the independent scene?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's affected at all like people were, saying it was. At least I haven't seen anything. I think right now wrestling's still growing, so I think it's a positive as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, it feels like it's a win-win for everybody, at least from like my position of seeing kind of how things are working out. Like,
yeah, and a lot of people haven't heard of those guys. You know what I mean? Like we have, since we're all independent wrestlers. People know who they are, but fan-wise, that just gets more eyes on them to showcase their stuff.
I'm going to ask you about a regular at Freelance and Glory Pro, and if you have stolen any of her candy, and that is Shaza McKenzie.
I don't think I've stolen any of her candy.
She keeps a good stash of candy. I know she has the nerd gummy clusters, and those are basically like crack. And have you had these, the nerd gummy clusters?
I don't think so, but I've had the sweet tart ropes. That's like, speaking of tart candy.
Okay.
That stuff's like crack. That is addicting. I can crush like 2 bags of those.
The nerd clusters are good. The nerd clusters are like, it's like a gummy, like with like a bunch of nerds stuck to it.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm gonna find that. Is it just sold everywhere?
Any grocery store or drugstore or wherever they probably have them.
Oh, cool. All right, I'm sold.
Or if you're on a show with Shaza, she probably has some. Just ask or steal, either one.
Dump her bag out. Look for it.
Who are some of the strongest wrestlers you've ever wrestled? Like, I'm asking this mainly because I know you recently wrestled Shane Mercer, and he's someone that always off the top of my head I think of as a very strong wrestler. Like, who are some of the stronger guys you've gotten in the ring with?
Shane Mercer's strong. He's probably he's not real. He's like a freak. Like, and I mean that in the nicest way. He's just strong. I know I haven't wrestled Jake something, but he's picked me up in a match, and I've used his big ass chest to do my one-legged moonsault off of. So I think he's a pretty stout human being. And there's this guy in Canada, his name's Tyler Colton. He's like a power lifter. So when we would wrestle on those Canadian tours, Tyler Colton would pick me up like I was a baby each time. Yeah, those are the 3.
Cody, something we ask everybody on the show is, what is the coolest thing in your room?
You know what? Probably this. I'm gonna bring it closer. It's a tiger lamp, but it's touch. It's not plugged in, but it's just one of those old timey touch.
Oh, that's super old school. I've not seen a touch lamp in forever.
Yeah, that's all this is. This back aesthetic. It's just old cool shit.
I've noticed in some of your YouTube videos on your YouTube channel, when you're like cutting promos, you have like little trinkets around you. Are those near you? I think there was like a frog or something. Or
We got that. I painted that myself.
Okay,
nice.
A fan gave me this. It's a glasses holder, so into the flamingo head.
Oh, that's super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Super cool.
And then I've retired the gnome sitting on a flamingo. I've retired that from the promo room. I used to have that. And then all this other cool stuff like that drawing right there is from a fan that we framed. And then I painted these cow horns. So just really sparkly and pink.
Is that you just do? Is that like the only type of art stuff you do, or like do you just do that kind of stuff like for fun, or like? Because I know obviously with like if your wife is involved with like your gear and stuff, are you a pretty artistic person in general?
Not really until we started really like putting my gear together, and then she's a burlesque dancer, so I help rhinestone her gear, and then I'll rhinestone my gear. So like that's like the arts that I do right now. It's fun. It's very therapeutic to do. Getting to paint all this stuff was very nice to do, so I was into it.
Dude, I can't get over that glasses holder you just showed me. That's like the coolest thing ever. Like it's like you're the Southern Flamingo. You got all this cool gear. You wear shades. Like you got like that's a very thoughtful gift from a fan.
I know they thought hard about it, and I was like, wow, this is the coolest gift I've ever received. Honestly.
What's the zebra print thing behind you?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like a hide. It's like a zebra print hide.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then we got a dream catcher right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the randomness of it, but it feels very Cody Lane. Everything
it's me.
about
I'm random as shit, so that's who I am. So yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Cody, we appreciate you joining us tonight, man.
Yeah,
let everybody know what you got coming up, what you got going on, and where they can follow you.
Yeah, so coming up, I'll be at Alpha One this Sunday, February 2nd. And then February 15th, I'll be debuting for Unsanctioned Pro. And then February 16th, the next day, I got Glory Pro, where I'll be wrestling Dak Draper.
Nice.
Yeah.
Again, where can they follow you at on socials?
Yeah, Instagram, it's @_Very Cody Lane. And then on Twitter, it's just Very Cody Lane.
There you go. Guys, the links are below. Go follow, go support, go check out what Cody's got going on. And again, thank you again for doing this tonight. We really appreciate it. And
absolutely.
Guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight. We are back. Big thank you to Cody Lane for joining us here on this episode. Everyone go check him out. Go check out the links below. Go follow him. See what he's up to. Go support him. And you'll be seeing a lot more of him, certainly on the independent scene and hopefully on bigger platforms moving forward because he's really good. Really good. Good in the ring. Good on the mic. Good person to talk to. So again, thank you to Cody Lane for chatting with us for about 45 minutes there. We talked to him last night just before Dynamite. So again, go support. All the links are below. Guys, that'll do it for us this week. That'll do it for us in this morning time slot. We will be live moving forward at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, but you'll still get a morning show on Thursday mornings here on Fightful Overbooked. It'll be in the weeds, as you've come to know and hopefully love. Every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Fightful Overbooked in the weeds. Myself and Joel Pearl on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Myself and SP3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're moving to 5 days a week. Starting next week, we'll be on main channel Monday for In the Weeds. On Monday with myself and Joel, and then on Tuesday it'll be the start myself and SP3 instead of FMC. You'll get In the Weeds. We're also working on potential another show to talk a little reality television with our pal Share Delaware. So a lot going on as always. If I'm not doing anything, I'm doing something. Does that make sense? Hopefully I stay busy. I don't run from the grind like Joel Pearl out here. I stay busy. Guys, we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of The Spotlight. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Watch the Royal Rumble. Enjoy that if you're going to watch that. If you're watching Collision, if you're watching basketball, hockey, whatever you're watching, if you're not watching anything, if you're going out and spending time with your family or just being by yourself, sleeping's always good. Take care of yourself this weekend. That's all I ask. Just take care of yourself for this weekend. Everybody, we will see you next week.